Trying to step on your beat. Can't really do it to this one.
It's Jordan Klein's specialty. Listen to that. Oh yeah. Baby's getting made to that.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Welcome in, Locks Before Lock on a Tuesday night. That's right. We've got 4 games to find the most value, the best ROI, the highest X-win percent chance across the board, thanks to Odd Shopper. And if you're new to Odd Shopper, well, welcome, because you are going to win money. It's going to feel great when you hit some bets. And we have a ton of things going on here, including this betting Discord, which we'll tell you about coming up. But Eric Lindquist is here, and he has promised 1 3-point prop on each team tonight, so long as I don't break into song with Lou Bega's Mamba number 9 or 5.
Mamba number 5, first of all. I'm
adding Mambas. I apologize.
Okay, yeah. We only need 1, and he's too many. But either way, yes, I will not do that. But if you're going to sing every time that I don't do it, sure, I'll give you my favorite of the 3-point props. It's just not going to be something that I can I can't back that one up with paperwork. No.
Okay, here's what I need, right? And Jordan is in the house producing. News God is here. We appreciate all of you out there. Thumbs up. You know the drill. We have Deeper Dive Live Before Lock coming your way, including Lindquist, who will be back for Live Before Lock. Will Mo Bamba make an appearance on this show? What are the odds? All right, Mr. Odds Maker.
Minus
what are the odds?
100,000, because you're a sick human being who must chase himself into the sun.
I love you, my friend, and I can't wait to look at how you. All right, so look, here is the cruel irony in all of this. Not only, all right, once again, is Mo Bamba and his Orlando Magic on the slate for you and I to discuss, but once again, it's the first game, so you can't avoid it. You cannot. Now, I'm going to put him on the back burner by all means. Let's just look at this Warriors team. We know no Steph by any means, right? Still on the road, 7.5-point favorite against the Magic. Low total, noticeably low here as far as the other 3 games are concerned. The game itself, before we get into your props, including a 3-point prop, the game itself, is there anything here for you in this game?
Not a ton. I will say Markelle Fultz is a guy that we got kind of some confirmation about what's going on with his situation. He is going to be playing here in this spot. He's going to be sitting out tomorrow. There's a back-to-back kind of situation, and it looks like 3-pointers for him, the under. I mean, we've seen, going back to his Philadelphia days, guy has a problem. He has a little hitch in the stroke. Not exactly a guy who's going to be out there chucking from 3. He's actually made 1 3 here in 2 of his last 5, but you're basically looking at legitimately 1 attempt, like max in a number of these spots for him. I'm willing to kind of roll the dice on a guy who is not known as the most notorious of shooters going back to his rookie year. I do think that under minus 190, looking at a number of books, minus 200 might be a number that you get at some other ones. But I think that that's a solid addition to just about any kind of prop parlay that you're putting together. You know, if you want to just bet it outright, I have no problem with it if you have the bankroll to stomach such things. But Markelle Fultz, you're fading like that 1 attempt that he's going to have out there against a good Golden State Warriors defense, even better. I mean, Steph Curry, I guess it's been surprising how good some of his defensive metrics have been this year, but not over his career. And so you get a Jordan Poole in there, a little bit more of a positive defender for all of those minutes here. Pretty much anybody else you're going to bring in off that Warriors bench is going to be a better defender. So Markelle Fultz, I think the under on 0.5 is the one that Odd Shoppers identified. I'm in lockstep with that.
Anytime we can fade Fultz, I'm all for it. By all means. And
are you still bitter about that he just...
No, there's nothing to be bitter about. We gave the guy a standing ovation. He even acknowledged his time here. But I think that there is still this belief that he's going to turn into this number 1 first round draft pick seed or pick, pardon me, that just ain't going to happen.
No.
But if you could take advantage of a number like that, look, without Steph and again, under a half at minus 210, you mentioned there, as far as his threes are concerned, definitely something to work in with a parlay if you like other plays throughout tonight. Then I love that as an anchor by all means. You would think, I was a little surprised here, but you would think that in a game against Orlando without Steph, there's going to be some scoring opportunities exponentially for Jordan Poole, as you mentioned on defense, but how about on offense? Odd Shoppers fading him 2 times over here, which was a little surprising, but the data holds up, where under 22.5 points also correlated with his under 3.5 threes. That's probably the better return there. If you were going to pick one and go under his 3.5 threes at even money, it's probably going to be a sweat. He'll probably finish at 3 threes, but still that's enough to go under here. And again, that's one of the best ROIs that I have in PA across the board is under Poole's threes.
Yeah, you can kind of see what happened here. So he started the last 4 games, obviously 2.5 of them basically alongside Steph Curry, 24.7% usage. It's gone up to 29.5, and that was a huge second half he had against Boston in a massive losing effort there. Boston playing so well. Then against San Antonio, 29% usage, a little tiny spike in minutes, a little tiny spike in usage. But that's not enough when the number changes from like 2.5 for 3-pointers to like 3.5. So that just speaks to how big of a difference it is to have that one play in there. I had a little bit of a back and forth in terms of win percentage, which is what I'm the most interested in for my purposes, playing more on Prize Picks and sites of the likening there. But in terms of sports betting here, when you go from 2.5 to 3.5, that under just becomes very, very enticing on a Jordan Poole 3-pointers prop, plus 100 there. Right off the bat, I guess I didn't put it this way, but we shorted one guy from Orlando. I'll short one guy from Golden State here in Jordan Poole for his 3-point prop as well. 33% expected ROI. Couple of that, I believe it was a 20% expected ROI or 21% we had for Markelle Fultz's 3-pointers. Those are both going to be 2 things that I really do like. And now let's hear the elevator pitch for over 1.5 from Mo Bamba, because it's coming, right?
Well, there's no elevator pitch. Are you kidding me? First off, if I'm going to give you a pitch for Mo Bamba at this point after, and he's not going to hit them all, but he's hitting these, and it's all about the volume and the minutes combined. We know that if he's out there, he was pulled late in that game, so that killed us, granted, but we've seen him go over this number. He's at plus 128 for a guy who is just quietly creeping past this from an average standpoint. And look, even when he's under, if you wanted to work a 1+, right? If you really wanted to work a same game parlay in this, then I would take the 1+ with Bamba, because that's automatic. But I feel like I shouldn't have to sell you anymore. I'm just reiterating that this is a play that you choose to ignore. That's really what this is about now. You had your opportunity.
I got nothing. Mamba number 0. That's what we need. 1, 2. That's all I need. Not even 3, 4, 5. See, just 1, 2. That's it. 1, 2 made threes, and it cashes at plus money. The Mo Bamba slander that you have started here on this platform is out of control. It's simply just out of control.
I feel like I have to defend this. I am outwardly defending Mo Bamba now because of you.
Can we go to the next game now, please?
There's a couple more Mo Bamba props that I was going to bring up. Rebounds, assists,
go ahead.
stocks.
Go ahead.
All right.
Go ahead.
Let's look at
Go ahead.
Our next game.
All right, there we go. That's what I wanted to hear.
Look, just don't let him hit tonight. All right. It seems to be when you and I are doing a show is when he hits. When I just tweet you randomly is when he doesn't hit. So I feel great right now about Bamba going over, especially on the Discord. All right.
Yeah, you get to speak it into existence. Yeah. Let me just say
that's it. That's it.
The only reason I'll watch this godforsaken basketball game today. Go ahead.
Atlanta's laying 3. They haven't beaten the Knicks in the regular season in a long time. But neither one of these teams are truly healthy. We know no Julius Randle. I think the Knicks on the money line are the play here. They seem to have figured out Atlanta more so, especially even when Trae Young explodes. So if there was a side, even with the total a little high at 226.5 for a Knicks game, I'm no problem taking the Knicks on the money line at home tonight.
Yeah, this is a terrifying spot for DFS because you have no Julius Randle, and we haven't had a ton of those kind of spots here this season. It's happy Shock Obi Toppin Day to everybody out there. Best to you and your family, or you and your bankroll, should I say, because it's going to be terrifying what we have to do with this guy and Alec Burks, and RJ Barrett is up at the top of every single board in terms of the DFS landscape. I think, though, that some of these numbers are just overinflated, specifically Alec Burks rebounds, Emmanuel Quickly rebounds, some of these ancillary options. There aren't RJ Barrett now. RJ Barrett, I feel pretty terrified to want to short anything. It looks like you could go to the assist prop if you're going to be getting plus 125 on that number here at OddsShopper. But because everything's had the time to adjust, if you weren't able to react to that news right when it broke, and I believe it was like at 11:30 Eastern time, 8:30 a.m. out here on the West Coast, it was really tough to get any kind of value here. And now everything's overinflated here. I think the Emmanuel Quickly blocks prop, minus 909 if you want to be so bold as to take an under there. But I think that's a pretty unnecessary bet, even though, it's 95% expected win percentage, just an unnecessary risk to take. I don't see a whole lot here outside of maybe the shorting of the Emmanuel Quickly rebounds prop. I'm already going to be so invested in these guys in DFS that there's really no need for me to kind of double down in the prop world because everything looks to have been properly adjusted.
Yeah, I think looking at this, especially when you differentiate, right, the DFS versus trying to attack some value here, the total, I know people are jumping on that. James Youngman says the 226 part of me looks amazing. I have no problem, going under that as well. You mentioned Quickly as far as what OddsShopper is providing. And I think just to make sure, going over 3.5 made threes for a guy at minus 105 for Evan Fournier just makes way too much sense tonight. I think you can attack Trae Young in this game while still keeping this under and still keeping the Knicks a winner, where it doesn't take away from that narrative as well. So I'm willing to fade a lot of the Hawks at the expense of also going over on some Trae Young. I mean, I like going over his scoring prop. I like going over his 3 prop. I think you can attack Young on an over standpoint, Eric, as well as keeping it in the narrative of they don't win the game.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. Yesterday, I was pretty adamant on going over on 30.5 points for LeBron James. That worked well. It seems silly sometimes when you get some of these numbers. And, again, OddsShopper can tell all of the story from data, and we can be able to look at that. And for me, there's also got to be a tiny bit of, I watch a lot of basketball, and there has to be something has to break a certain direction here. We've seen 46 and 47 at the same time that we've seen 9 and 21. We're talking about mean and median here, the difference between them on OddsShopper in terms of like what you're looking at there for a sports book, as opposed to for me, where I'm looking at more mean numbers, how the expected win percentage is kind of looking out over on a site like Prize Picks, where I'm able to utilize that. Trae Young, I think his assist props are just so inflated to like that 10.5 number. I'd be more inclined to maybe short something like that. But then on the flip side of it, something that works well with that is he's probably looking at going completely nuts offensively. I do think 27.5 is too low of a number.
Way too low.
It's across the industry on it as well. 29.4. This is even better than what we were looking at for LeBron last night. This is Trae Young going into the Garden. This is Trae Young with an Atlanta team that's staggering and they need to start putting some wins together here, trying to keep the ship afloat here, absent John Collins. So I think I'm with you. I think that that's going to be a nice way to do it. I'm probably going to find some combinations because inherently, if Trae Young goes out and puts up 46, you got to think that 10.5 is an all right number to short in terms of his assists as well. The double-double likeliness goes down a little bit, even ever so slightly in that kind of an event, just if his usage is going to go up. So over on his points, under on his assists.
Yeah, and I'm going to add one more here to this and actually see what happens for the 2 versus the 3-leg same game parlay as we kind of look at stuff that makes sense and correlates, knowing that you're not going to get this gigantic return, but we're about X ROI plays. We're about stuff that hits, especially on a 2 or even 3-leg same game parlay. But to your point about staying away from assists, I'm going to put that on the back burner for a second and add that 3rd leg. But the 2 that I really like, and then just attacking what Trae Young has done this year against the Knicks, Eric, 31 points per game, 4.5 made threes, 30 plus, 4+ makes from deep is a plus 252 same game parlay. I think that is a very realistic result tonight, no matter what the end result is in this game.
Yeah, and I would say the one difference between a Trae Young and a LeBron James in terms of their range of outcomes is LeBron James is capable of getting to the hole at will, being able to finish around the rim. I mean, not just ridiculous dunks there. So a 30.5 point prop for him, the over on that might have felt a little like the floor would have been elevated a little bit. Obviously, you just care about making sure you get your money in good with a guy in a certain spot. And I think the Trae Young points prop, I mean, it's not even just looking at his history against the Knicks or in the Garden, although the Garden is one of those stadiums that it seems like certain guys just show out a little bit more from time to time. Not that there's a whole lot analytically I can factor into that, but a guy like Trae Young is going to have a larger range of outcomes, but I think that range of outcomes more than likely is going to result in more usage in this kind of a spot. So I'm with you, just kind of being bullish on him performing well offensively.
By the way, real quick, adding under 9.5 Trae Young assists to that same game parlay, now 3 gets you plus 675.
Is it 9.5 is the number now?
Well, it depends on the book. I've built this on DK.
So that's as efficient as it gets.
No, it's an alternate. So Eric, real quick, it was an alternate number that I picked. 8.5.
Right.
It looked like was the standard one, but I bumped it up to 9.5. But again, on DK, it's going to give you a left or right column to choose.
Well, if it's 8.5, I like the over of that. I mean, PointsBet is the one where it looks like taking the under there on Trae Young. It's sitting at 10.5 is the prevailing number there. If you have 8.5, you should slam the over on that, because I think you're probably, if that's going to be like the minus 110 situation, the under of 10.5 is at minus 140. Think about that just in terms of the pricing. Like you're getting it in really, really good, getting the over of 8.5 at minus 110.
Right. And that's same game parlay. So again, depending on the books, you're not.
So I would take the over on assists in combination with that.
He's at 9.5. DK has, 9.5 under 9.5 at plus 110. So that's what they're asking for versus the 145 to go over that number.
It's a little bit more efficient. That's more of a stay away type number for me.
There you go. I'm just at you're the one who's under 10 assists.
Under 10.5. I mean, that's a big cushion. I mean, we're talking 10.5. That's a big cushion.
All right. Went under 10.5 on FD. Steve McGee right there. We appreciate Steve. We appreciate everybody here hanging with us. So make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Again, the deeper dive coming your way in about 10, 11 minutes. We also have Lindquist back lock right now before lock, but he's back live before lock. And I don't know, man. I shouted you out. I tried to tag you on one of our Discord channels here on the Mo Bamba thing, but this betting Discord is amazing. Just seeing so many people take advantage of what we have offered here with Alex Baker, Steve Buzzard, and Ben Rasa. So you're covered from college to the NBA and beyond, and just our Discord as a whole, but then adding this premium betting Discord opportunity where you're just getting these free picks. And it's great because I have the Discord app on my phone and I get this alert and I get Alex Baker giving me this 8-leg positive ROI parlay here that I could just plug and play into my book. So it's that easy and simple, man. I love it.
I was a little busy this morning. I heart you, but I heart radio you, if you will. How about that? That was a you pun. Not good.
Yeah, but I don't know what the context of that was. I was just selling our Discord channel.
Stuff for iHeart. Oh, okay. That's fine. Yeah, no, the Discord's great. I just haven't had a chance to peruse in there very much here. We had golf shows this morning, golf stuff. It was golf all morning. Plus, there's 2 events to bet this week. We got the Corrales Punta Cana. We've got the match play starting tomorrow. I mean, it is a great, great week in the golf streets.
I'm sure you're going to get some solid picks if you haven't already from Rasa. Well, again, as you mentioned, you at
Hudson Swafford, 65-1 at the Corrales, coming down.
Nobody's betting the Corrales, but you and Mo Bamba props. All right, that's it. Okay, so let's go to our second
kind of an
game.
Indictment of yourself. Continue.
Well, I'm just saying, that's the level of small market opportunity that I'm trying to find from Mo Bamba. If you find somebody like Swap, you see, you thought I was ripping you.
Swippy, Swami, Swim. Samsonite. I was way off.
You were. All right. You ready now?
Jordan Klein didn't even get that. How did you not get that? Are you don't know what that's from?
He hasn't seen the movie. There's no way he's seen Dumb and Dumber. Karen, he's probably seen Dumb and Dumberer before Dumb and Dumber, right? How did I know that? I mean, that's an easy one. Come on.
Jordan Klein, we can't be friends until you watch Dumb and Dumber. Can't do it. Friendship revoked until you watch Dumb and Dumber. Put it on while you're producing. I don't care. You need to watch this.
No, he hasn't seen it. So now he's not going to watch it because you asked him to. He's going to spite you and not watch it. And just rest. He's going to go to his grave only knowing Dumb and Dumber as Dumb and Dumberer. You realize this now, right? This is the impact that you have on people, Eric.
The shame to you and your house. And also, I just can't. I can't.
Chicago Bulls. How about that? Getting 8.
Yeah, let's do that.
No Chris Middleton tonight. Any interest in dipping into the Bulls pool here? Bulls haven't beaten anybody straight up in the top 3 on either conference right now. I don't. Maybe you take the points here, but I'm going to stay the hell away from this as far as a side is concerned, and maybe tempted to go over this total, but nothing really jumping out from this game.
So we are kind of looking at a new situation for Alex Caruso. He's going to be starting going forward here in this offense. Played 33 minutes in that first start here. He has first start since December 20th we had for him here. He's now 5 games back from his wrist injury from the Grayson Allen ridiculousness. But Alex Caruso, 33 minutes. That is a large minutes allotment for him. He's already averaging 1.8 steals per game this season. And now you're looking at a Milwaukee game that, Milwaukee's a good basketball team, but this is still going to be relatively pacey. I mean, this is a team, Milwaukee Bucks, 5th in pace in the NBA here this season. OddsShopper showing it very, very clearly. All of the things combined, extra minutes. So slight uptick from 1.8, slight pace up spot, uptick to the 1.8. So 2.1 steals for the projection, over 1.5 plus 125 money on something that's already projected to hit at 2.1. This is a no-brainer bet. Probably my favorite for sports betting purposes. 41% expected ROI. Fire it up at will.
Yeah, that's great, man. The 41% ROI is the highest that I see on the board here for this game.
One of the highest you'll ever see on the board ever. 41% expected ROI is ridiculous. I rarely see over 35%. I mean, those are like must-have bets. This is a must-play bet.
Yeah, I love that. And I think you can attack, especially when you're looking at the unknown here, the volatility, right, that you mentioned here. That's a great place to start with Caruso. I'll keep this here short and sweet from this game. I think you can same game parlay Portis and Allen, each going over 1.5 made threes. Portis has never gone more than 4 games all season, slumping, and he just had his 4th game slumping. No Middleton means that you're not going to have somebody just black holing all of these shots away from everybody. I love that. I also think you can go, and it was earlier in the day, it was over 200, Eric, and now it's down to, I think, 189 or so. But you can go Grayson Allen 3+ threes for a good return there as well. So you don't have to worry about just one of these individually, but those two. And there was another one that was a little bit of a sweat, but I did like it there where Holiday under 7.5 assists. But again, that's just more of kind of a feel here. I think the same game parlay for me with Portis and Allen going 3+ would be the best. You could attack a Giannis block if you like as well.
Yeah, I think Vegas might have missed a tiny bit of information in regards to the 1.5 that we're looking at specifically for Grayson Allen. Not only do you not have Chris Middleton here in this game, but Dante DiVincenzo, having his absence matters a lot in terms of minute security and opportunity that's going to exist for Grayson Allen here in this spot. On the season here, you actually see a tiny bit of a decrease to Giannis's usage when you take Chris Middleton and Dante DiVincenzo off the floor, down, we'll put it in parentheses, to 34.4%. maybe teams garner a little bit more attention. Drew Holiday sees a nice bump to 28.6, but his numbers look pretty efficient. 23% usage for Bobby Portis is next on the list, with both Middleton and DiVincenzo off the floor here. Allen only around 18.6%. What's nice about Allen is, you're going to get those attempts most of the time that he's out there chucking, utilizing his usage. It's going to be from 3.
Oh, that's absolutely it. Anything else you want to tap on this game here, my friend?
Nope. I just wanted to let it be known that I bolstered a case that you made for a 3-point prop, actually 2 of them. So put that down on the old bingo card of things I thought would never happen in my life.
Mo Bamba weighed and dragged this entire show down because you insisted on bringing him up multiple times. But
yeah,
how about Andrew?
That was me who did it.
How about Andrew Wiggins under 2.5 at minus 120 or so? I kind of glossed, if you will, over that one, but I'm a big fan of going under 2.5 for Wiggins, even with a little bit of added volume without Steph. He's just not going to go over 2.
Yeah,
he'll stick. He's
not a very good 3-point shooter. That's kind of helpful. No. 63% expected win percentage. Klay Thompson, he is going to eat up a lot of usage for this team going forward. Really hard to get to him on DraftKings today. We'll talk about it later. He's got to score like 40 real points, which is in the range of outcomes that he can do. But I do like that addition to the card.
Okay. Last game, my friend, take it away. I'll add one little thing at the end before we get out of here. But what is jumping out at you? And again, they're odd shopper. If you're ever looking at something out there thinking, I'm a little uncertain here, I don't really have a lean on the Nuggets or anything specific on the Clippers, as you'll hear from Eric and then me, odd shopper is the place to start. So take it away.
Yeah. I don't have a lot from this game. I think the only thing that I would slightly like would be Reggie Jackson over 2.5 threes. I think we've been playing that one a lot, and I do like over on Reggie Jackson. Eats up a lot of this usage. You think about all the pieces that are gone, not just the Kawhi and Paul George, but even the recent addition that they got in just not a whole lot of people that are going to be pushing him in terms of usage. I feel pretty confident in saying that over 2.5 should not be juiced plus 140. I think OddsShopper kind of doubles down on that. There's really not a whole lot I have access to here because I'm concerned about expected win percentage for Prize Picks. So if you have anything from the sports betting angle, please let me know. But otherwise, 2.5 for Reggie Jackson is a fine play for those who have access to it.
Yeah, I got in. This is at 1:13 p.m. Eastern time. Reggie, I'm looking at this thinking something is wrong. Reggie Jackson over 2.5 threes is plus 130. It just doesn't make sense. Last game, limited minutes, he still went 1 of 2, playing 15 minutes, pardon me. But he's gone multiple games, 5 straight games, 4, pardon me, would have been the 5th one there of going over. Look just how well he's shooting the ball. The only thing I would add to this, and this is a strong play here on OddsShopper, and again, I remind you that it's 3 things you should be looking at with OddsShopper: the X win percentage, the X ROI, and then also you get Alex's free projection of that prop for what that player should do. So wherever you were shopping for odds, you're not going to get the number 1 DFS player in the world's free projection with that. This stands out at going over Batum's 3-pointers, mainly because of our projection on site at 2. It's even money. So what you can do, and I'll leave you with this thought here, my friend, is same game parlay, Reggie 2+, Batum 2+, which essentially moves Batum to even money, all from even money to plus 167.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. Again, when you're thinking about single game parlays, it's basically like having a 1.5 line in some of those spots because either he hits the 2+ or he doesn't. It's the identical kind of idea. And so Nicholas Batum, 2+ threes here. I'm just fine with that number so long as you're getting it it's just even money there attached to it. I think that's just fine in terms of trying to hope for a little game that stays up in pace, that can stay closer. 2 starters, tiny bit of correlation there in terms of the game. So I'm just fine with that being your last play.
Awesome. And nice shout out there to Bob Burnquist. Not often that you get an early Tony Hawk reference out here. I bet you Jordan knows who Bob Burnquist is more so than he does Dumb and Dumber.
What is wrong with you, Jordan Klein? You don't get the...
Oh, jeez.
Oh, no.
Technical difficulties. Let's get out of here. All right. Yeah, deeper dive coming your way next. That's Eric Lindquist. I'm Eytan Shander. Thanks to Jordan for producing, but don't go anywhere like he's not going anywhere. Deeper dive, then Eric is back. So
let it flow, Jordan Klein. Let it flow.
Look at that. You get to see him in the same shirt.
Let it flow. I started laughing.
Going on, everybody? Welcome to the Awesemo.com NBA Deeper Dive presented by Jock Market. I'm Dave Loughran at Lofty_D on the Twitters, along with Adam Scherer at Ship My Money DFS, breaking down a 4-gamer for you today. So a little bit of a slower pace than yesterday and definitely tomorrow, but sometimes that's welcome. What's going on, bro?
Yeah, running it back, and it feels like kind of the same exact show we did this morning.
No, a ton has changed since then.
Yeah.
That's all right. Well, we'll take a little bit of a different approach, try and spice it up a little bit here. Maybe we will get some news. Who knows? Yesterday, Josh and I got a ton of news throughout that show. It was out of control. You guys were on the deeper dive. You had some stuff breaking as well, like towards the end of that one with the 9-gamer.
Then you guys obviously got more.
Yeah, it was a whirlwind of shit, but we are happy to have you here. Malachar asks, are you working Saturday? I'm not, but I'm assuming you mean because that is my birthday. And if that's the case, much love, brother. But no, I'm not.
Happy
I'm all
birthday,
set.
because I will definitely forget by then.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. And I do not blame you at all. Chat will not, though. You got to hand it to him. When's your birthday? January?
January, yeah.
Nailed it. January 21st.
January 5th.
I had no idea about January, so that's decent. It's decent stuff. But happy to have you guys with us as always. Can we make up for the putrid thumbs up performance from the show ahead of us? Love those guys. Just didn't get it done. I mean, 130 likes coming into this one, maybe less. I don't know. Hit that thumbs up. We got 1,000 watching, at least over 200 out of the gate. It takes 1 second. I know you got us. So let's make it happen and subscribe to the channel. Get us to 75,000 subs. We got a lot of milestones to reach today. And if you want to join, hit that join, 180 likes. Let's go. Hit that join down below. Get the free super chats each month, the custom emojis. And we'll always prioritize questions, comments with the premium Discord. We've been doing some cool contests and stuff lately too. We're going to try and do more of that. The sweet badges. See some of those iced out ones. Malachor. Oh, all right, dude, you got iced up now. And then all the other ones, all the losers who haven't reached a year yet, myself included. Jordan, how are you not there yet? I thought you were like the first person to do it. Pop on producer cam. I want everyone to see Tony Montana. Jordan looking good today. He's going to his family, going to his parent. What is it? A birthday party or something? Anniversary? Okay. You look good, man. I like it. Chest out. Adam, I think the only thing he needs, correct me if I'm wrong, just a fat necklace.
Yes, 100%.
Right? I mean, he needs something to pop. But we love our producer, Jordan Klein. And how long is the drive? We're going to be driving 3 hours? Oh, that's not too bad. All right. I mean, it sucks. Are you staying there?
I got to work tomorrow. I can't stay.
Ugh.
Yeah.
All right. Well, 270 likes. You guys are the greatest. I mean, that was too easy. We got 4 games. Let's dive into it. First question, as always, Adam. When you look at this slate, yesterday it was so funny because if you're on the strategy show, it was you and me, right? On the strategy show yesterday, I think it was. And no. Oh, I thought Jordan was shaking his head. No, I think it was you and me. I have the memory of a goldfish. And we talked about how so much of that value that was available at the time would not be good value once 7 o'clock hit, which was absolutely the case. I don't know if that's going to be the case today, although we did get that Randall news in the morning that kind of changed everything up before we even got into the show.
Yeah, that's the kind of news that normally you get at like 1:30, 2 o'clock, and it gives us something different to talk about. But
and the strategy show is then pointless.
Right at the beginning of the show. So we already got it, but that's still the biggest news we've gotten today. Obviously, we are still waiting on the Zach Levine news, which potentially would be pretty big as well.
I agree, Butthole Jenkins. Jordan does always look good. He is so money, baby. That's what he said. Is that what were you laughing at?
Who?
Jordan.
I don't know why I had to show what I'm wearing on the show today. It's just funny.
Do you have a Cuban link chain?
Do I? No,
I bet you do.
I do not, unfortunately. Not yet. I'm not Adam Scherer level yet, you know.
Oh yeah, Adam. Are you not wearing it, Adam?
I'm wearing it.
Let me see. Rip that baby out. Yeah.
There he goes. There he is.
There you go. You and Jordan hop in that Prius Prime and cruise down the freeway. All right. Let's make it happen. We got 4 games. I mean, we're really in no rush today, right? So 4 games to hit on. Golden State and Orlando. We'll kick it off here. I was looking at some stuff earlier for the betting video over on OddsShopper. I was actually talking to you about the Giannis assist rate. We'll get into that. But Klay Thompson, and you had mentioned that we talked about him being a really interesting tournament play earlier. His usage rate in the 5 games before Curry even got hurt was over 31%, dude. So even before Curry went down, he was chucking up 20 plus shots a night, almost 11 threes per night. And then he just played 38 minutes, which is by far the highest of the season.
Yeah, and I think it makes him a really good play regardless of site, kind of for different reasons. On FanDuel, he's only 7K, so he's getting some ownership there, but I think it's pretty obvious he's underpriced in a good matchup at 7K. On DraftKings, he's not getting as much ownership, but it's because he's 8,100, but there's still a massive ceiling for somebody that has a 27% usage rate without Steph on the floor, that is coming off a game he just played 38 minutes. Like, I don't think there's any reason that you should be projecting him for like 31 or 32 at this point. If the game is competitive, he's playing a lot, he's going to get a lot of shots up. So I think that, for one reason or another, regardless of site, I really like Klay.
So do I. Mock Wall said, iced up today, Laffy. Love for the entire Awesemo crew. Love the entire Awesemo crew. Good stuff, man. Looks good on you. Okay, so let's go back to Adam Diesel says 60 real life points. I would love that, man. I hit the over 22.5 for Klay. I just, when you're attempting that many shots and your minutes are clearly trending upwards and there's no Steph Curry, you're just going to have to keep firing. I don't care if you're shooting well or not. It's going to have to keep shooting. So it is interesting to me, but the one big differentiator here, and you had talked about it earlier, was Jordan Poole getting it's out of control. Every time I look over at you or Jordan smirking.
Did you see what I'm laughing at?
Hold on now. Exit screaming.
Yeah.
That was Chris. That was Spags, right? Yeah, that was Spags.
I think so.
Just said it out loud on the show.
Chris Spags did call me that. Yes.
Yeah. It's because we love you, man. But Jordan, the ownership was a little bit different earlier. Poole's still getting like almost twice as much as Thompson, but I don't think at that price it makes him a bad play at all. Are you willing? First of all, where are you at on Poole? Second, are you limiting anything here for Golden State players, or would you be perfectly fine having Poole and Thompson in the same lineup, like Poole, Thompson, Looney? Just thinking about how you'd break this down.
Yeah. So for one, I still like Poole here. He's getting the most ownership on the team on DraftKings. I think that makes sense. The only thing that I would say, and I think you said it, is that when you're basically getting twice as much ownership going to Poole as Thompson, that doesn't make a ton of sense to me, because while Thompson is more expensive, it's not like it's that difficult to find that $700. And he's just, I don't think he's half as likely to succeed as Poole, but I still think Poole's a really good play as well. So I'm fine getting to both guys. You're probably looking at 36 minutes, give or take, for Jordan Poole at around the fantasy point per minute as well. So it makes both of those guys look really good. Beyond that, I don't mind getting to some of the other Golden State pieces. But I do think that I don't want more than one of like Looney and Bjelica in the same lineup. I don't want more than one of like Kuminga and Porter. But individually, any of those guys certainly can get there in this game. Bjelica typically is giving you like mid to upper teens in minutes, but last game you got a Draymond Green ejection and somewhat limited playing time for Looney, and you get 24 minutes from Bjelica. Not to say that is likely to happen again, but if it does, like, that can pretty quickly become a tournament winning play at relatively low ownership. And then even Andrew Wiggins, pulling 7% ownership here for $300 less than Poole. Wiggins hasn't seen the same sort of bump in production without Curry, and I don't think that he will on average, but in any given game, you can still very easily have Andrew Wiggins get hot, take over a game, and just be the guy that you need from this team at 7% owned.
Absolutely. Eric said Poole is cheaper than Klay. Yeah, right. That's why he's getting more ownership. He also said Poole has no minutes restrictions. Well, after last game, neither does Klay.
Yeah, he also said he's not playing Klay because he doesn't think he plays more than 35 minutes. Klay averages like 1.3 DraftKings points per minute. So if you get 35 average minutes from Klay, or 34 average minutes from Klay, 35 minutes is a pretty weird cutoff for not playing him.
Yeah, and he's also coming off a 38-minute.
Right, yeah, he's not limited. So this is just like a completely bad take.
So, who is your favorite non-Poole play for Golden State? Because none of them are pulling a ton. Yeah, it's got to be Klay. Well, I am even the Draymond Green thing is odd to me because he's not pulling a lot of ownership, and that he shouldn't be, but he's still close to 10%. How many minutes can we confidently give him here? 22, maybe 24?
I mean, I think more than that. I think going like 26 to 28 is reasonable.
Okay.
But I still have a hard time thinking he's playing more than that. And it's not like it would be shocking if he still ended up at like 24.
Yeah, because he did get ejected last game. Yeah. So there's that. When was that?
Third quarter, I think.
Just wanted to see how much he played in the first half. He played 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. Yeah, like 13 minutes in the first half.
I haven't seen the quote, but I know somebody in chat earlier said that Kerr had said he was going to play around 28 minutes if he hadn't gotten ejected. Like I said, I haven't seen the quote, but based on those first half minutes, I feel pretty comfortable with 26 to 28.
All right. Well, then that makes him quite a bit more interesting at 6K. Like, I wouldn't say a priority by any stretch, but 28 minutes from Dre is fine. I would say the only thing, again, you and I mentioned it this morning, it's not like he actually becomes an exponentially better play with Steph off the floor, though.
Yeah, exactly. I think that Klay being there is actually good for Draymond because it does give him another shooter to pass to. But you just kind of have to think about what opens up when Steph isn't there. It's mostly usage, and Draymond's not taking that because he can't shoot. He needs somebody to pass the ball to that can make shots, and Steph doesn't have a big impact on the rebounding numbers. So the biggest thing with Draymond is just it is a good matchup, and he is likely to play more minutes than he has been recently. If you give him, 26 to 28 minutes, he looks fine. But I think at 6K, he's pretty close to correctly priced.
Bogdanovich is out, by the way, for Atlanta, so we can get to that one. Or wait, hold on.
I think it was
make sure that wasn't Bojan Bogdanovich.
Yeah, Bojan.
It was. Why do they do that, man? Why do they do that? The moment I saw it, I was like, House is out too. Yeah, all right. So never mind. False alarm. Orlando side of the ball. Let's talk about the top of the position here with Wendell Carter Jr. and Cole Anthony. They're really the only two guys that are even reasonably high priced. It's mostly just Wendell Carter Jr. Is there any meat left on the bone in this matchup at this price point?
I think purely from like a tournament, ceiling standpoint, but when you're talking about guys you're prioritizing and that are going to be easy to get to, I think it's very difficult to get there when you're just even from, guys we talked about in this game. He's $1,300 more expensive than Wiggins now. He's $300 more expensive than Klay. He's playing really, really well, and he's likely to give you around 32 minutes or so, but I think the price tag has pretty much caught up to where he should be.
Cole Anthony, can we finally get a semi-competent game from this fella today? You know how I feel about him.
Yeah, I mean, I still like, I'm still kind of interested in that price tag. The biggest issue I have is just the playing time. It's really hard to count on him playing more than like 30 minutes at this point. Obviously, it's a difficult matchup as well, but he has averaged over a fantasy point per minute without Jalen Suggs on the floor this year. He's struggled a bit recently, as you pointed out, usage rates down over the last month as well. But, projected for 10% ownership on a 4-game slate, I do think that there's a pretty decent ceiling there.
All right, Andrew, we will answer that question when we get to Atlanta and the New York Knicks. But let's wrap up Orlando here. Is Wagner's ownership right now just a product of the lack of value on this slate and the fact that you've got Giannis Antetokounmpo without Middleton, you have Nikola Jokic without a team, which happens every night? Essentially what I'm saying is Wagner is 4K, Mo Wagner, by the way,
right, and
he's pulling almost 20%. Normally you're not going to get that type of ownership from him. He has been, he's been fine, but I don't know. It definitely seems like a product of the slate in terms of just not a lot else being out there that's all that cheap outside of maybe Obi Toppin.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a product of the slate in the sense that it's a 4-game slate, and you think about the cheap value you have. You know that you have guys you want to pay for, but when you think about the cheap value, you basically have Obi Toppin, you have Alex Caruso. Yeah. Then, I mean, you're talking guys like Nick Batum, who, he's Nick Batum. So I think Wagner makes sense. Like if he were lower owned, the way I kind of think about it is if he were lower owned, I'd be saying like, why isn't Mo Wagner getting more ownership, assuming he's going to play around 20 minutes and, he's a fantasy point per minute guy. But I also think the ownership here is high enough where I'm like, I'm not forcing Mo Wagner into lineups at 20% owned. Like I don't think there's some massive edge in playing him at that ownership either. I think it's just a pretty efficient spot.
Do you want to get to anybody else from Orlando?
RJ Hampton, I assume, is going to start in place of Suggs again. He's not a great fantasy producer, but he is only 3,900 and he's getting half the ownership of Wagner. So I think that's another situation where, yes, I prefer Wagner, but I don't think he's twice as likely to succeed at that price point as Hampton is.
All right. 1 down, 3 to go. Let's go to Atlanta.
And the same can be said for Markelle Fultz.
Right. Sorry. Get to Atlanta and the New York Knicks. Bit of an interesting game here. We got free content on the site too, by the way, for anybody that isn't a premium member over at Awesemo. You have the NBA player projections free today, PGA top golfers, NHL ownership projections. You don't need an account or anything for that. You can just go check it out. If you want to, though, awesemo.com/join, whether you want to do a weekly pass for less than $5 a week, express pass for NBA, you can do every sport for the year. If you want to make a legitimate investment, one sport for the month, NBA monthly is $29.99. So essentially whatever you want to go for a week with every sport. I think that's also $29.95 or $95, whatever it is. You can check it out right there. But all of the tools, ownership projections, player projections, top stack tool, boom bust tool for PGA, NBA, MLB's coming up. You name it. NASCAR, UFC, esports. If they have contests out there, we got content for it. We got all the tools created by Awesemo himself and helped managed by some of the other best DFS players that are out there in the world of daily fantasy sports. So awesemo.com/join. Otherwise, player projections, top golfers, and NHL ownership projections, all free today at awesemo.com. All right, let's talk about this next one here. Atlanta laying 3 against the Knicks, 226.5 point total. We're still waiting on Bogdan Bogdanovic, and Lou Williams is out. So Bogdanovic being questionable is, definitely has some implications on this slate. But similar to what I asked you this morning, with the news we've gotten, which is very little, is Trae Young a guy that we should be prioritizing? And do you think it's going to be easy enough to fit Trae and say Jokic or Trae and Giannis into the same lineups?
I don't think it's going to be that difficult. Just because you do have, the $3,200 top-end piece, you have enough cheap pieces, even if you're not super confident in them, that you can at least rotate through, whether you're talking about Caruso, Batum, Hampton, Wagner, and then there's also like 5 to 6K guys. I think you'll be able to get 2 of them if you want. And the other thing that I think ends up just kind of driving up Young's ownership is that there's nobody else at this price tier. So anytime you're just rounding out a lineup and you land in between like $10,000 and $11,000 or $10,000 and $12,000, you're going to Trae Young basically. But I do think it's a good play. I mean, you get increased production from him without John Collins. You also get increased production if Bogdanovic is out. Now, so to be clear, he's still questionable, right?
Yes, it was okay. Bojan Bogdanovic, and I'm just trying to do a show and read Bogdanovic, and the first name doesn't really look all that dissimilar to the other first name.
Yeah. No, I was just double checking because like when we had talked about that, I pulled it up without both of them, and then I was like, wait, but he might not be out. But
I was just I misread.
So he does still matter, but one way or the other, Trae Young looks good. He just looks better if Bogdanovic does sit, because then obviously you're getting all of the minutes without Bogdanovic and without Collins. Young's per minute production jumps by about 1/10 of a point if you take Bogdanovic off as well.
How much though are we forced into like a very similar build with everybody else if you're going with one of the 12K guys in Jokic or Giannis and Trae Young? I'm just thinking, like, I just tried to do something right now, and like you're probably getting Caruso, probably getting Obi Toppin, probably going to get a lot of Pat Connaughton in there as well. I don't know. Is that something you think you can circumvent by getting different in some spots?
Sorry, we got Orlando's lineup. Who it's what we were expecting, but who was your question about?
I was saying, do you have any concerns that like the lineup build with a Trae, with 2 of the top tier guys will filter you into like the Caruso, and then everyone has him and everyone has Toppin in those lineups, and probably everyone goes with Connaughton too because they might want to get a Drew Holiday, and you know what I mean? It just
I think that is a legitimate risk. On a 4-game slate, it can be kind of difficult to completely mitigate because you just have so many options. That's kind of the nature of the beast when you're talking about shorter slates. But yeah, I think there will be some overlap there. But at the same time, like you have enough good mid-range plays that you can find ways to be different. Like you're going to have RJ Barrett on the other side of this game, but you're going to have either any of Vooch, DeRozan, Levine, or really good plays in Vooch and DeRozan if Levine ends up being out. You have Drew Holiday, like you said. So I still think that there's for a 4-game slate, there's just a lot of really good plays tonight that I think will help to mitigate the ownership, at least to some extent.
Okay. So let me ask you about the non-Bogdan or non-Trae Young guys. Clint Capello, Danilo Gallinari. And honestly, I thought Bogdanoviches were related. Someone mentioned they weren't.
They're not.
And I know that now. I just thought there's just too much similarity there. Never really took the time to look it up.
I don't think they're even from the same country.
They're not both from Croatia?
I think one's Serbian and one is.
Oh, you're right. Look at that. Huh. You learn something new every day. All right. In addition to basketball, he's also a fan of the World of Warcraft series of video games. Look at that, Adam. You would love this guy.
Bogdan or Bojan?
There's hold on. Professional life. Bogdanovic is related to the late noted Serbian architect Bogdan Bogdanovic, sharing the same name. However, he's not related to fellow NBA basketball player Bojan Bogdanovic, who is Croatian. Okay, so, who is Croatian? Okay, so Bogdan Bogdanovic, big World of Warcraft guy. Are you into that?
No, not at all.
You ever watch the South Park World of Warcraft episode?
It's possible I have and just don't remember it.
Gold. All right. Anyway, what else are we doing here? Oh, yeah, Clint Capella, and we will obviously break down what happens if Bogdanovic is out. But Danilo Gallinari at the 4, DeAndre Hunter. Are any of these guys worthy today of being priorities? Or are they once again? And it feels like a lot of these teams, it's just kind of, yeah, you'll get some, they're fine plays, they're routine plays, but they don't stand out. That's how it feels.
Yeah, and the Bogdanovic news here does matter because if Bogdanovic is in, then Herder at 5,200, Hunter at 5K, Gallinari at 5,100. They all look fine, but they're all riskier because you're just talking about another wing in the rotation that's likely to play 30 plus minutes. All you really have to do is go back to the last game where Herder played 18 minutes, Hunter played 25, and you can see the risk that comes with them. Not to say you're going to get those same minutes again, because, for example, last game, DeLon Wright played 27 minutes. I don't think that's particularly likely to happen again. But if you take Bogdanovic out, you can pretty comfortably say you're getting low to mid 30s from DeAndre Hunter. You're probably getting low 30s from Kevin Herter, and they both look a lot better. So if Bogdanovic is in, I think that any of Bogdanovic, Herter, Hunter, Gallo are reasonable secondary options, not getting that much ownership, and just good ways to differentiate in tournaments. If you take Bogdanovic out, it's a bump for Trae Young, but it's also a bump for Hunter, Herter, and I think to a little bit lesser extent Gallinari.
Okay, let's get to the Knicks then. And yeah, man, you see Primus definitely with the theme song for South Park. Winona's Big Brown Beaver. You ever heard that song?
I don't think so.
Oh, great Primus song, man. They're not for everybody, but that is a heck of a jam right there. Dude, I tell you, you're not big into like musicians per se, right? So yeah, that's okay. What'd you say?
I agreed with you.
I know. All right, but anyway, let's keep going here. Les Claypool, though, if you want to listen to some good bass play. All right, New York Knicks, Obi Toppin. He is pulling 60% right now, under the assumption that he's going to start. RJ Barrett, very popular. Alec Burks, very popular. This team has the lowest amount of assists per game in the league. I was curious what it looked like with the 2 games with Randall out. It's like nobody had more than 3 assists. RJ, all of these guys are just averaging like 2.5 to 3 assists per game. Outside of Julius Randle, no one averages more than 7 potential assists per game. But somehow Barrett, without Rose and Walker and Randle, has a 30% assist rate.
Yeah, there's a lot of assists to go around now. There's a lot of usage to go around. I'd mentioned it this morning that not only does RJ Barrett have a 30+% usage rate without Kemba, Rose, and Randle on the floor, but his assist percentage gets up to like 27% as well. He should play a ton of minutes here. Makes him look like a really, really strong mid-range play. And then obviously the highest owned guy on the slate is, assuming he's starting, it's going to be Obi Toppin. Already saw it in chat, where it's like people just blindly immediately take the most obvious play on the slate and say like, oh, we can't play that guy. And it's just a mistake. I mean, when we haven't projected to be 84% owned on DraftKings, like anytime somebody's that popular, you can make a case to just, hope to get lucky. But more often than not, you're going to be able to build better lineups by just finding other spots to be different, because he's so far and away the top projected point per dollar option. In the 2 games he has started without Randle this year, he's played 27 and 45 minutes. He's between a 0.9 and 1 fantasy point per minute guy. He just at 3,200, like it is a complete mispricing, assuming he's in the starting lineup.
It 100% is. There's really no 2 ways around that. But looking at the rest of the Knicks, Is this a spot on a 4-gamer where you're willing to play 4 of them? To me, that still seems a little bit concerning.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going 4 here, just because, again, it comes down to there being so many good plays on this slate, so many plays that I like. I don't really feel the need to play 4 from the Knicks. You could, I guess, but it's not something I think I'm going to do. That being said, there are other plays here that I like. You know, obviously Toppin and Barrett lead the way, but Alec Burks at 5,600 sees a little bit of a bump in usage, has a little bit easier path to success here. Evan Fournier, I think, is interesting because his production with or without Randall doesn't really change, but I still think that taking Randall off the floor or out of the game, it does, I think, increase the chances that Fournier has like a ceiling game, even if his average production is going to be the same, just because there is one less guy he really has to compete with usage wise. Like if Fournier is knocking down shots, you're not going to have Julius Randle deciding it's Julius Randle time and not giving the ball to Fournier. Like he's more likely to just be getting the ball. So I do think that makes him kind of interesting. And then I talked about it this morning with Quickly. Right now he's projected for 36% ownership, which I think is absurd, but he does have more paths to success now because we know that he's a good point per minute guy. And now you can get more minutes just because he like outplays Evan Fournier and closes over him. But you could potentially also just get, like a smaller mix lineup for stretches where maybe Barrett plays the 4 and Quickly is out there for more minutes. So I think that Quickly is a good play and he looks a little bit better without Randall. I do think that like 36% ownership going to Quickly when Fournier is only getting 13 is pretty crazy to me. I think they should be a lot closer to even.
Yeah, I agree. And I think a lot of, if Manuel Quickly was 4,000, he'd be actually, wait, hold on. 30. If Manuel Quickly was say 4,000, he would be maybe the highest owned on the slate over Toppin. But it is definitely odd to see Quickly in a far more, I don't want to say far more, but definitely more volatile role than Fournier and getting that much more ownership. I mean, 14% to 31%. You think that holds up before we go to lock?
I think it comes down.
It's got to, right?
It just doesn't make sense to me because the thing is too, and I know you and I have talked about this before, it seems like whenever there's a chance to play Quickly, everybody kind of like jumps at it. And it always makes me think that he's a better point per minute guy than he really is. But he's at 0.91 DraftKings points per minute this season. Evan Fournier is at 0.81. If on average, you assume Fournier is going to play a few more minutes. To me, they just look pretty much the same. If the ownership were flipped here, I would be saying I want to play a lot of Quickly. But with the way it looks right now, I think Fournier is going under-owned relative to Quickly and also relative to Burks. I think Burks does look better at 5,600 with Randall out, but you're getting like 4-1 on Burks or on Fournier versus Burks.
You win, Ryan. Laffy looks like George R.R. Martin. I mean, I
have no idea what he looks like, but
the guy that wrote all the Game of Thrones books. Just look it up real quick. Just look up George R.R. Martin wearing like a sailor's hat with a cheeseburger in his hand. Yeah, just a slovenly looking fella. Image. What?
Spitting image.
We also had a super chat. I don't even feel comfortable reading this. Where is it, Jordan? You sent it to me. I don't even see it. Was this from earlier? Anthony DCL, is supple the best way to describe Jordan today? No. And thank you for making me read that. Supple. Jordan doesn't know. Jordan, I will read the definition for you. Bending and moving easily and gracefully, flexible.
No.
I don't know. Jordan is the big proponent of stretching.
What am I missing here?
We had a whole conversation about stretching.
Oh, do you stretch daily?
I mean, I would like to, but I don't.
Yeah. Do you have a back roller?
Yeah, I got a back roller and like those, those like elastic bands and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. How many steps a day do you do?
I try to do like 2,000, 3,000 in.
That is the very definition of sedentary. But yeah, I hear you, dude. This job can wear on you when it comes to getting your steps in.
Somebody said you look like a young John Voight. I've made the John Voight comparison to try and get back in your good graces after the Davis Bertans and Iggy Brastakis ones.
Hey, John Boyd was a good-looking guy back in the day.
Yeah, I know. That's why I had to balance out. I think it was when I called you Iggy Brastakis, and I felt like I crossed the line. I had to come back with John Boyd.
That's literally the only reason I ever called you Dustin May. I was like, let me find something that he will not be happy with. All right. Anything else? I just want to make sure we wrap up everything on the Knicks. Got a little bit off track there, but clearly the most popular team, like at aggregate ownership, there's nothing more than the Knicks today, unless we get some insane news. Is there any other, like, how many minutes do you think guys like Gibson and Grimes get? And do you think it's just Robinson and Jericho Sims splitting the 5 minutes still? And then who gets the backup 4 minutes? How do you think that? I know you talked about maybe going small, but do you think we could see anything else there?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they play Taj at the 4, or, again, if you get those lineups where maybe they go with Barrett and you get more minutes for Quickly, more minutes for Quentin Grimes. At 3,700, like, Grimes isn't quite looking like somebody that I want to play, but he is kind of at that borderline where I'm like, if Grimes ends up playing like more minutes than I think and having a big game, I'm going to be pissed I don't have him. The one guy that we didn't talk about that I am really interested in tournaments, and this won't surprise anybody, is Mitchell Robinson. Just not getting much ownership. He's 5,400 on DraftKings. He's a point per minute guy. He's another one where he doesn't really benefit with or without Randall on the floor, but when he's not in foul trouble and games are competitive, you just have that path to mid 30s in minutes for a point per minute guy at 5,400 and low ownership. Even on FanDuel, 6,100 and low ownership with plenty of block upside. I just really like the volatility that he brings at low ownership. Like, it's difficult to find relatively low owned guys on a 4-game slate that can legitimately like 8 to 10x their salary without something absolutely insane happening.
Mitchell Robinson is a bane of my existence. However, he's just one of those guys that if the minutes are there and the foul trouble isn't there, a lot of times he crushes. So what do you have him projected at for minutes today?
27.
Okay. And he's in that price point that it's always kind of easy to get to him. So.
Yeah, I always like him in tournaments when he's low owned because he has volatility in like 2 different ways. For one, he just can rack up blocks and defensive stats that can be, hit or miss game to game. And so that's something that it makes it so, his salary is just a little bit lower than it probably should be for his ceiling, but also the playing time. Like, the minutes are just so inconsistent, but knowing that he has the potential to play mid 30s in minutes, it's just, more volatility that you can take. Somebody in chat keeps saying his knee hurts. I haven't talked to him today, but I'll take your word for it.
I'm going to back you up here. You do not look anything like Ed Sheeran. I think people just look for the worst possible comps for us. Just what, Jordan? You're muted.
100% looks like Ed Sheeran.
No, he doesn't.
Oh, easily. Look at this. I'll pull it up.
No, he does not. That's
if Ed Sheeran had a beanie on, he'd look like Adam. Like,
Ed Sheeran's face is shaped like a volleyball.
Okay, his face, it's a little round. Okay, I see it a little bit.
Yeah, you have lost
come
your mind.
on.
Yeah.
It looks like a big thumb.
All right, I take it back. I take it back.
He does not look like Ed Sheeran.
Somebody said I kind of look like Carson Wentz. I actually thought in one of the pictures, in that picture that Wentz posted the other day, I actually could see it.
You actually DM'd me that.
Yeah.
And I told you I don't think you look like him at all.
Yeah. No, the one that I've seen recently that I actually thought I really looked like was Ilya Samsonov, who's like a goalie on the Caps. I was just watching a Caps game and he like lifted his mask up and I did a double take.
Is he even on Google? Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
I'll say I think I've sent you a picture of him.
Jordan needs to look that up. Elias. Oh, I actually kind of see it. A little bit. 2 games down, 2 to go. Oh, and then we'll turn it over to the Live Before Lock crew coming up after this. As always, you got Greg Ehrenberg, you got Eric Lindquist, and they'll be taking you up past 7 o'clock. Hang out with them. Josh and I had a blast yesterday. We got into the weeds with some stuff. Adam, you would have thoroughly enjoyed that conversation. We just went down the rabbit hole.
You and Josh?
Yeah. Oh, it got good.
That's surprising. I wouldn't have guessed.
It got good. Got into like why David Ortiz was shot and Anyway, it was a lot of fun.
Somebody in chat just said he looks like Ed Gain.
Hang out with Eric and Greg after the show and have some fun. Also, be sure to check out Jock Market if you haven't done. And by the way, they're going to be talking actual basketball too. Josh and I are just, unprofessional. Jock Market. Download the app in the App Store, the Google Play Store, and learn how they've turned fantasy sports into a stock exchange where you can make money down to the hour, the minute, hell, down to the very second by buying and selling shares of players in real time for real money. And if you click the link in the description of the video and head over to Jock Market and use the promo code Awesemo, AWESEMO, we're back up to 100, man. Get up to $100 bonus on your first deposit. $100 bonus on your first deposit. Download the app, Jock Market, Google Play Store, App Store, wherever it is. You got football, not right now, but baseball coming up, hockey, NBA, and PGA. So you have that tomorrow. You got basketball, hockey tonight. And use the pregame IPO. This is the cool feature to pick up shares of your favorite players before the games. You can buy them, sell them, hold them during the game, whatever you want to do. And on top of the $100 deposit bonus, there's a first market guarantee at Jock Market where they'll refund any losses in your first NBA market up to $100. We also have at Awesemo, totally free every day of the week, free Jock Market IPO projections to help you beat the market. Use the promo code Awesemo. Check it out. Check. You can't do that to me during a read, AB. I mean, that go download the app and use the promo code Awesemo. We'll see you over there. That's just wrong. You can't do you remember that clip? I posted it on Twitter. So AB, Alex Brown, who does all the showdown shows with us, former defensive end for the Chicago Bears, fun guy to do shows with. Somebody told him he looked like Terrell Suggs. And you want to talk about taking offense to something. He was not. He said he's like Terrell Suggs was voted the ugliest player in the league.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite clips that I've seen taken from one of our shows.
Oh, it was great. Or the time where Matt Gajewski was naming his favorite players on the Bears Super Bowl, the team that went to the Super Bowl, and I asked him who his favorite or why he liked that team, and he's like, yeah, because I like this guy and this guy, and AB's just sitting there like, you're gonna mention me.
That
great. Was good stuff. Jordan, you remember that, right? You were on that show. All right. What's up, AB? All right, let's keep going here. We got Chicago and Milwaukee. Still waiting on Zach Levine. More Wednesday shit coming in. All right, more Wednesday. That's cool. Let's assume Levine is in. The fact that Caruso started over Dosunmu last game and played 33 minutes, it's pretty interesting. Not to mention, maybe a little bit of maybe a grudge match here. Grayson Allen. Last time he faced this team was the last time that he was on the court for 8 weeks after Grayson banged that wrist up of his.
Yeah, but I mean, I think he looks like one of the best values tonight, and that never feels good to say about Alex Caruso, but you just have multiple things working in his favor. For one, we had already seen that he could get 28 to 30 minutes off the bench, but then you got him replacing the Dosunmu in the starting lineup and playing 32 minutes. So it just kind of helps to solidify those minutes. He's not a terrible point per minute guy. He's around, 0.8 to 0.85 fantasy points per minute. Then you get the added bonus potentially of, if Zach Levine gets ruled out, not that Caruso is going to take over or anything. He still has to compete with DeRozan and Vooch, but you get probably at least a little bit more production. But, even assuming Levine's in, assuming you're getting 30 to 32 minutes from Caruso, I think he looks like one of the best non-Obi Toppin values on this slate.
Agreed. Let's go through this team, assuming Zach Levine is in, and then we can flip it to him potentially being out because he's still dealing with that nagging knee thing. It's definitely possible he doesn't play.
It wouldn't surprise me at all if he doesn't play.
Me neither, at all. So we'll take it from both sides because even if he's projected in, you're still getting a lot of ownership going to guys like DeRozan and Vooch.
Yeah, because it's a situation where it's kind of like DraftKings potentially just keeps getting screwed with this pricing because the pricing had gotten really expensive because you have Lonzo out for, a long time. And then you had Levine missing a bunch of games. So DeRozan had gotten expensive. Vooch had gotten expensive. And then Levine comes back and it was just like, man, these guys are really, really tough to get to. And then a few days ago, they kind of just chopped like $1,000 off everybody's price. So they started to look like good mid-range plays, even with everyone in. And then now you're potentially getting Levine out. So basically, on average this year, Levine's averaged 1.15 DraftKings points per minute. Vooch and DeRozan are both around 1.2. Given the minutes they're going to play, or, you expect them to play in a game with close to 235 total, they all look good. If you take Levine off the floor, Vooch and DeRozan both go from about 1.2 to 1.3 fantasy points per minute and look even better. So I think that one way or the other, you're going to be playing DeRozan, Vooch, and if he's in, Levine. But obviously Vooch and DeRozan start to look better if Levine is out.
If Levine is out, though, let me phrase it to you this way. If Levine ends up sitting in this game, like Caruso's already very popular, but does Kobe White get into the starting lineup, or is it Dosunmu? Like who do you think it is?
I assume it's Dosunmu, just because last game he was still, I'm double checking now, but going from memory, I'm almost positive he was still ahead of Kobe White in the rotation. He played, where did he go? Yeah, Dosunmu played 24 minutes. Kobe White played 13. So my assumption is that you would just get Dosunmu back in the rotation. It would certainly open the door so that, maybe a $4,500 Kobe White plays enough off the bench to be viable in tournaments, but I wouldn't be all that confident in it. I just think you'd be getting, more Dosunmu minutes at 4,700, which is decent, but still nothing I'm too excited about.
Okay. Zoot says, let's settle this. Adam equals Steve Orem or Orem. I looked it up. I see it a little bit, but I have no idea who that is.
Yes, I don't even think I've read that name before.
Apparently he's an actor from England. I
feel like maybe I've seen him in something, but
I feel like I might have. I just have zero idea.
Yeah.
All right. So
I do kind of see it though.
Yeah, I see it too. Like a younger Steve.
Well, yes, thank you. The guy's 15, 16 years older than me.
That's what I'm saying. All right. The Milwaukee side of this game without Middleton is interesting to say the least. You have Giannis. This is what I've mentioned to you today, that since the start of last season with Middleton on the floor with Giannis, 24% assist rate for Giannis. With him off the floor, 39% assist rate. Some pretty considerable minutes too. I mean, that is a huge jump. 15% jump in assist rate for Giannis, but he's already, a 36% usage guy. He's a near 20% rebounder, just legitimate triple-double upside any day of the week. And now you've got him as him and Jokic, basically the two highest priced players on the slate.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting with the rates for Giannis because, like you said, you do get that bump in assist percentage, but his per minute production has actually been almost identical with or without Middleton on the floor. It is right around 1.71 to 1.72 DraftKings points per minute. But wouldn't be shocking if the rates go up over a larger sample. But also Middleton helps with spacing, so that could impact Giannis's efficiency. But one way or the other, looks really, really good. You're talking about 1.7 DraftKings points per minute on average. Milwaukee has the highest implied total on the slate. Games only like a 7 or 8 point spread. So, could blow out, but not really any more likely than any other game on the slate, with the exception, I guess, of the Atlanta game. So I think Giannis does look like the top pay up option on the slate. We haven't projected for the most points. The one thing that I would mention is that, and I mentioned this morning, I think it's still the case, Giannis right now on DraftKings projected for 41% ownership, Jokic coming in at 25%. Even though I agree that Giannis should be the higher projected of the two, and he does have more favorable positional eligibility, I still think getting that sort of ownership discount between them, it's not a spot where you have to just say like, oh, I'm going to play Jokic over Giannis, but it is a spot where if you have a lineup where you already have a bunch of popular plays, you're trying to save some ownership, you shouldn't feel bad at all about going Jokic instead.
I got to stop reading these comments, man. It's throwing me off. Someone said like Josh looks like the human version of Goofy.
That's amazing.
All right. Because they know once they get us going and reading them, it never ends. And I mean, I love it. I would love 27 more likes too. Get us to 500. Hopefully you're enjoying this show. Hopefully we're getting as much information and, camaraderie out there as possible. But yeah, we're almost at 75,000 subscribers. almost at 500 likes. It would mean a lot to us around here, no matter how ugly you think we are. That's all that matters is we get those numbers up. Jordan, you all right? But the goofy one still got you? It is good. All right. With Drew Holiday priced, Drew Holiday's not cheap by any means, but just taking Middleton off the floor where you go from a big 3 to a big 2, it makes a huge difference. Really a big 1 and then a littler, but still kind of big 2 in Drew Holiday. With Connaughton too, and then Bobby Portis. Man, I don't know how much all of these guys outside of Drew, really benefit. Connaughton from a minutes perspective, sure. Does Grayson Allen benefit from this? And if you were to order these guys just in terms of priority, it's obviously Giannis first, Drew second. Both of them are great plays. What about once you get past those two guys?
So one thing that we really need to pay attention to is the starting lineup here, because for one, we don't know for sure who's replacing Middleton. My guess is Pat Connaughton, but it could be any number of guys. But assuming it's Connaughton, I think he looks like a good value at 3,700. But the other thing to pay attention to is who starts between Bobby Portis and Brook Lopez, because they both started last game with Giannis out. And then Portis was asked today about Lopez coming back, and he wasn't even asked if he was going to go back to the bench or whatever. He just volunteered I'm going back to my normal role off the bench, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if that starts today or not, but if you get Brook Lopez in the starting lineup, to me, Lopez played 20 minutes last game. That would signal that maybe you can get 24 minutes or so from Lopez at 4,400, which would be kind of appealing. But it also, I think, would be a bad sign for Portis's minutes, because I think instead of projecting 28 to 30, maybe you're talking 26, 24 to 26, which at 6,600, clearly becomes less appealing.
Okay.
And as far as ordering them, Giannis clearly 1, Holiday clearly 2. If Portis is starting, I think it's close between him and Connaughton for 3-4. And then, Grayson Allen and Lopez, I don't really care about them. If you get to a little bit, that's fine. But I would go there. If Lopez is starting, then I think it's Connaughton 3, Lopez 4.
Okay. Makes sense to me. We got 3 down, 1 to go. Like I said, Greg and Eric coming up next. We'll turn it over to them. They're going for an hour and a half with you. And then the Jock Market sponsored after show all the way up till 7:30 Eastern time, taking a look at ownership and all of that fun stuff. But first, Adam, the Clippers, the Denver Nuggets. Let's get into it. Clippers 6.5-point dogs here. 222.5 total in Denver. Let's start just with Reggie Jackson, because he's playing really well. His ownership would suggest that he's playing well. And he's not super expensive, right? He's low 7K, barring a game like last time where you just have everybody yanked off the court at once in a blowout loss. He has the upside to get close to or to 40 minutes, which we saw in 3 straight games before that Toronto game.
Yeah, I think, and we've seen this from Tyronn Lue in the past as well. You kind of just have to throw away that last game. If Denver just jumps out to a 30-point lead like Utah did, then yeah, Reggie Jackson's probably going to have another bad game. But
Lue's kind of a loose cannon sometimes when it comes to them getting down early.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's not the first time he's hockey line changed his starters right out of the game this year. And it may not be the last, but you're just assuming that this game doesn't just immediately turn into a blowout. And if it doesn't, you're likely to get 36 plus minutes from Reggie Jackson, who is over a fantasy point per minute guy this year without Paul George on the floor. $7,200 price tag is very reasonable. Fits, easily into lineups. Pulling 27% ownership on DraftKings right now. I do think that comes down if Levine is ruled out, because you would just get people going to DeRozan and Vooch a little bit more than Jackson, I think. But right now they're all projected for similar ownership. So yeah, I mean, I think Jackson is clearly a good player.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of games ago he played the entire second half. 40 minutes for a guy like that. As you said, if Levine isn't ruled out and he's active, then Jackson looks a lot better. But yeah, the minutes alone are appealing to me. Once you get past Reggie Jackson, though, you're looking at Marcus Morris. You mentioned earlier, Nick Batum is somebody that, is just going to, by default, get into some lineups. And then it's just overall not a highly appealing team today. The only saving grace is that a lot of these guys have seen their salaries come down a little bit at least.
Yeah. I mentioned Batum, not that I really like him. It's just he's 4,300, and if you're playing a lot of lineups, he'll fit in a little bit. 5,600 from Morris is fine. You should expect around 30 minutes there. He's averaged about 0.9 DraftKings points per minute with Reggie Jackson on and Paul George off this year. So, he looks like a pretty decent play, especially considering that, again, a lot of the plays we like the most are at the guard positions. One spot I do think is interesting in tournaments is the center position. I think that Zubac's at 6,100 is a little bit more expensive than he should be from a median standpoint, but I do think he's got a path to a really big game here. Because if he's able to avoid foul trouble, I would think the Clippers want him out there as much as he can be. We've gotten 3 games this year where he played against Jokic. In one of those games, he played 10 minutes because he picked up like 4 fouls in 10 minutes, and it was just a nightmare. In the other games, though, he played 27 and 32 minutes in regulation. The game he played 32 minutes, he played another 5 in overtime. If he can avoid foul trouble, I do think it's likely you're getting around 30 minutes from somebody that averages a little bit over a fantasy point per minute. And then similarly, clearly not in the same lineups, but if Zubac does get in foul trouble, it's likely that you're getting extended minutes from Isaiah Hartenstein, who is also a good fantasy producer. And, if he plays the 18 to 20 minutes that he's going to play on average, then 4,800 is too expensive for him. But it really just takes Zubac's foul trouble for you to get enough run from him to probably be a good play in tournaments. So I am interested in just mixing in the centers in different lineups.
Earlier today, you and I were saying how Nikola Jokic, that ownership had to come up, and it has considerably since we last spoke. So right now he's at 25%. That also has to do with the fact, of course, that Julius Randle at the time was in with that run of ownership. So that makes a huge difference, right? If Levine is out, some of these higher price guys can get even higher than that because it'll be easier to play them alongside of each other. But it's a good spot for Jokic, man. The Clippers just team to cough up a lot of rebounds. Defensively, they are good. But the biggest thing, and we talked about this, they're the next highest priced player on DraftKings, at least, aside from Jokic, below Jokic, is Bones Highland right now. Dude, we are in late March, and Bones Highland is the second highest priced player on the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. For one, that he's the second highest priced guy. And then 2, just that the second highest priced guy in general is $7,000 less expensive than Jokic. Crazy. And then 3, that none of them look great outside of Jokic. Jokic, phenomenal. Get to him where you can. He's the second best point per minute guy on the slate, likely to play, 33, 34 minutes. He is a little bit more difficult to get to from a positional standpoint than Giannis because, on FanDuel, Giannis has had small forward, power forward for a while, and you can only roster the one center. But now on DraftKings too, Giannis is small forward, power forward instead of power forward center. So that makes it even easier to get to him than Jokic. But all of that said, still love Jokic, still like getting there when I can. Beyond that, Will Barton, Monte Morris, Aaron Gordon, they're all at price points where they look okay. Like on a 9 or a 10 game slate, they wouldn't really deserve a mention. On a 4 game slate, they deserve some ownership. Right now we have Morris at 14%, Gordon and Barton both between 9 and 10. Those all make sense to me.
All right, man. 4 up, 4 down.
That did not feel like an hour.
No, we were having a good time. That's why. Having a blast. Who do you think the closest comp is for you that's been given throughout the day?
The actor that is older than me.
Steve Oram or something? Yeah. Oram? Yeah. Jordan, put yourself up on the screen one more time. I want the best comp for Jordan in the next 2 minutes.
I think Spags already nailed it.
No, we can't. We're not doing that. Before we flip this over, Jordan, there he is.
This is terrible.
There he is.
This is terrible. This can only be bad.
And thank you for the 600 likes. You guys are the greatest. Best comp for Jordan Klein is how we end this show. Adam and I get shit on all night. Now it's time for Jordan. Watch, he's gonna get only good ones. Watch, he's just gonna get.
They keep calling me that dude from Spider-Man, his friend. I'm just like,
oh, that's a good one.
I don't look like that guy though. I mean,
no. Lloyd from Entourage.
Oh,
that's not bad.
I can see that.
Especially, never mind.
Yeah, I mean, just be careful. Tony Montana. That's what Tony Montana with that shirt. I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously not, but he's doing his thing. Oh my God, it's just flying. It's flying. I can't. All right. Anyway, favorite. I'm going to read these while you give the answer. Favorite top tier play. I know it's not like you have Giannis, you have Jokic, you have Trae Young. If you're playing two of them in a single entry tournament, who are they?
I mean, ideally it's Giannis and Jokic, but more likely it's Giannis and Young.
Yeah, I kind of meant which one are you pairing with Young? If you can't, yeah. And then favorite value. Go ahead. I was
going to say, but also that is somewhat dependent on the Chicago game, because I did see somebody say if Levine is out, can you just like forego the top guys? I have a hard time not getting to like either of the top guys, but I do think it becomes more viable. Not that it's not viable anyway, but it becomes even easier to say like, well, what if I just go Giannis like plus Vooch plus Drew Holiday or something, or Barrett, instead of Trae Young, kind of.
Okay. And favorite value, if it's not say Toppin or Caruso, obviously those guys are great value, but say you are going with the top heavy approach, trying to go stars and scrubs. Is it Connaughton, right? If Levine is in, who is it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's Connaughton if I'm not allowed to go to Toppin or Caruso. I think Connaughton, Mo Wagner, RJ Hampton, like those guys are all just in that bucket.
All right. You guys are the best, man. Have a great rest of the night. Follow Adam at Ship My Money DFS, myself at Lafayette_D. And Jordan, you're a great sport. We love you, man. We love you. Stick around. Greg and Eric coming up next. Peace. Are any of them accurate? Were there any that you looked at and said, you know what it is?
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the NBA Live Before Lock show, presented by Jock Market. I'm Eric Lindquist, excited to be talking through this four-gamer with you guys. Smash that like button, subscribe button, notification bell as we get into the door here. Guys did a great job picking up the slack for Eytan and I earlier, but I had nothing to do with that. I was simply an analyst doing analyst things. Oh, speaking of an analyst doing analyst things, we got my buddy Greg Ehrenberg, Ehrenberg DFS on the Twitters. How you doing, my dude? I missed you.
Not that good, because I just found out that Jordan wasn't actually in the Spider-Man movie, which is just totally ruined my day. Because, you know, when we were trying to figure out who do we want the producer to be, I was like, why would I not want the guy from Spider-Man to be producing our NBA shows? And then I just found out that it's not actually him. And now I'm trying to message HR. I'm trying to message the people who work, because I'm like, I don't know if I could work with him anymore.
Yeah, you wanted to hang out with Zendaya at some point in time. That's just not going to happen. It's sad times here on the Live Before Lock show.
Are you sure that's not you, Jordan? I still don't believe that.
You sure? It's there. Look at that. Oh, shaking the head. No, but it is you. That's the problem.
Yeah, well, when you're involved in the superhero world, I knew you're supposed to hide your identity. So maybe that's playing a role in it. You're still the Spider-Man guy to me, Jordan.
Greg looks like Even Stevens. That's pretty good. I'm not going to lie. That one is incredible.
It would be better if I had the longer hair, though.
Yes, that is necessary. But that's still pretty freaking good here. Your favorite bobsled duo. We do look like that. I will say, yes, that. No,
it's because we are those people, though.
We are. Just luge lessons. It's good times here in the DFS streets. But again, smash that like button. We're going to get into it here. 55 minutes before lock. We're not going anywhere, though. Another half hour where we can come up with everybody that Greg and I look like. That we already know who Jordan Klein looks like. Shout out Jordan Klein behind the virtual glass, also known as the guy from Spider-Man. Greg, what piece of news is going to dictate what you do with your lineups the most today?
Yeah, so, I mean, there aren't that many players right now that are on the injury report. You know, Zach Levine is questionable. We've got Bogdan Bogdanovic questionable, and that's kind of it. So those two?
Yes, that would be correct. I mean, I have to ask the question because it's become like a recurring thing. I don't know how to start a show without asking you it, because now we can just go to the guard and I can kind of get this beat by beat. By the way, things that are free today, I'll start with that. NBA player projections, NHL ownership projections, and the PGA Top Golfers tool. You're going to want to check some of that out. We got match play. We've got the Corrales, which is going to be just crazy, crazy times. Excited for that one. The alternate event to the match play as well. 2 PGA golf tournaments to go burn money with this week. So looking forward to it. But let's get into it. To the guard position we go. And thank God we have somebody up at the top end in Alex Caruso as a piece of value here at the guard spot. We have another guy in Obi Toppin we'll be talking about at the forward spot. Both of them give us access to get up to the Trae Youngs, to the Giannis's and the Jokic's of the world here. But RJ Barrett is the guy at 54.5% currently over on DK. He's shooting guard small forward over on the FanDuel.com, but 53.5%. He's a guy that without Julius Randle, we just have to rely on in some lineups today, no?
It's pretty hard to get away from this next value just in general, because we know how Tom Thibodeau likes to run his rotations, and it's tight. And he also doesn't have Julius Randle. He doesn't have Nerlens Noel. So he has more limited options than he typically has. And we're at a spot where the Knicks are almost certainly not going to make the playoffs, but they're still somewhat alive to make the play-in game. And this is a game where, if you consider where they are in the standings relative to the Atlanta Hawks, this is a must-win game for the New York Knicks, and they probably need to run the table for the rest of their games. So I think the guys who start for the Knicks, especially Randle out, are probably going to, a lot of them, play in the neighborhood of 40 minutes. It's going to make RJ Barrett look really good for me from a projection standpoint. Like you said, Obi Toppin, another one that really stands out. And just in general, Alec Burks, it's going to be really hard to get away from this Knicks value on a 4-game slate when I think they're going to play massive, massive minutes.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's just impossible for me to get away from him, Alec Burks, getting some Emmanuel Quickley in my life, even though I don't want 36% Emmanuel Quickley. That seems a little bit extreme for me. I think that can be very volatile. What happens with his minutes from time to time, if he's on the floor, 0.91 DraftKings points per minute, pretty darn nifty. But none of these guys even 1 fantasy point per minute. But in the absence of Julius Randle, everything changes here quite a bit. Drew Holiday, another guy that in the absence of Chris Middleton, I think benefits quite a bit. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that we can really mine out from this Milwaukee situation outside of Giannis, outside of Bobby Portis, who I like a lot here for today. Is there anything else that you're getting from Milwaukee, period, besides those three?
I'm kind of curious to see the Bucks starting lineup. I talked about this with Adam earlier today when we did the NBA injury report show, but it does seem like there's a pretty good chance that Brook Lopez starts ahead of Bobby Portis today. If that's the case, it's hard to know exactly how many minutes Lopez will play, but that'll at least make him kind of a flyer in large field tournaments. But, remains to be seen from a value standpoint. As far as guards go, because I know we're talking about the guard position right now, there's nobody I'm really dying to play for Milwaukee, because ultimately where I expect most of the production to go without Middleton is going to be to Giannis, is going to be to Jrue Holiday, and potentially to Portis if he does end up starting.
Pretty kind of disappointed with your trolling in chat. It's really not even that good or funny. I'm looking for an actual comp for me. It seems pretty ridiculous. Eric acts like a Karen. That's absurd. How dare you?
How dare you?
No, I was kidding.
All right. Yeah, so like
Karen.
We've got Elijah says Greg looks like Big Bang Theory. I look like a TV show.
Honestly, I see it. I'm not even going to dispute that one. Don't completely hate it. Don't think it's off the board.
Yep, I'm just the creation of life. I am the Big Bang Theory.
You are.
I guess that's what he's referring to.
Third leg, Greg. Third leg, Greg. Every time.
That is where all life originates from.
Oh, all right. Moving down the board, I just wanted to touch on the Milwaukee situation because I didn't have jack shit besides Giannis, Jrue, and Bobby Portis. I saw some people talking about Jordan Nwora. I don't know how I really land on that one here today, but we continue on here at the guard spot. Zach Levine, he's questionable going into this game. I definitely like him. Alex Caruso, I talked about. Thank God we have him. I think regardless of Zach Levine, I'll get to some Alex Caruso. Provides a lot of value, especially on FanDuel in terms of stocks. God, he's projected for 2.1 steals over on OddsShopper. One of my favorite plays that you could possibly find over on OddsShopper. The quickest way to find bets in 30 seconds or less. I simply group it by Chicago at Milwaukee here. As long as Alex Caruso's going, I mean, he's in the starting lineup going forward is the exact quote we got from Donovan yesterday. I like what he can provide over on FanDuel, but are you landing on him and Zach Levine if he does play over on DraftKings?
Yeah, so obviously we need an update here on Zach Levine. And at the very least, I think it makes a lot of sense to get to a good amount of Zach Levine just because it gives you flexibility to swap off him if he does end up getting ruled out. I think he's probably more likely to sit than actually play, just because we know that he's dealt with knee soreness for a lot of the second half of the season. While he has played better as of late, his price has still come down. So he's 7,500 on DK, only projected for 14% ownership. Right now on FanDuel, 7,400 projected for 16% ownership. So here are the benefits to getting Levine in our player pool. Number one, if he plays, I think he's a really good value play, points per dollar basis, and I think he's going overlooked. And then point number two, if he gets ruled out, we've got more flexibility to swap and get to other guys on the Bulls that we're going to like even better with Zach Levine out. So I think that he's a really good guy to have as a placeholder in lineups right now. I think he's probably like 60-40 in favor of sitting instead of playing. We're going to need more information there, but tail end of a back-to-back for the Bulls, and he's dealt with injury. So it seems to me like he may be a little more likely to sit, like I said, but still there's reasons to get him in there anyway.
Yeah, I think there is too. And I mean, if you're going to have some DeMar DeRozan preloaded on FanDuel, it should be easy to drop down 400, mix some things around and be able to get to some lower owned Zach Levine over on FanDuel, specifically DK. I think you can still kind of make it work, but obviously different positionality. Power forward only for DeMar DeRozan makes it and complicates it a little bit there. 7,500. You're going to have to move off of some of the Clippers exposure, but I mean, that's like pretty non-anything. I don't have a ton from them, period, today. Guards, lower owned guys that we are getting to on this slate. Jordan Poole is somebody that even on DK at 7,400, I'm fine firing up a little bit, even though under 3.5 looks like a decent play over on OddsShopper in terms of his 3-pointers. Under 3.5 looks decent, but 7,400, I still think there's some massive upside. Let's actually just jump to Golden State here in general, because Klay Thompson, 8,100, was somebody that was getting talked about, I think, at Adam at the beginning of last show where he had interest. I really don't have interest in 8,100 for him. Major talking point at 7K over on FanDuel, but I think he's got to put up 35, 40 raw points to really pay off for you in a big way in tournaments. I find him still to be a guy that I'm not getting to a lot. Much more Jordan Poole, gets things done across the stat sheet. What are you doing with those two on this slate?
Yeah, so like you said, massively different outlook for Klay Thompson on FanDuel compared to DraftKings, just because the ownership is different and also the salary is different. So let's start by talking about it on FanDuel, where I think He's just obviously going to be more in play for most people due to the 7K price tag. But I find him to be about appropriately owned. In the build that I have right now, I'm nearly exactly even with the field. So I just kind of look at him as a neutral play because he's benefiting without Steph Curry out there, but the field is also there in a pretty big way. So I think that all makes sense. Then for me, over on DraftKings, obviously there's upside in Klay Thompson. We've seen it in the past where it's like, oh, look, Klay Thompson just went out and scored, 30 points in a quarter. But he's so reliant on scoring. And this is a slate where there's a lot of good options. And we have seen a slight step back from Klay Thompson's fantasy production. It's hard for me to get behind him when he's that expensive over on DraftKings. So I do have him projected, I think, better than most people. And that's still not enough for me to really want to get to him at 8,100.
All right. And then let's jump on over to the Orlando side of that game. This is the first one that'll be locking here. And it looks like pretty negligible ownership over on DraftKings between Cole Anthony, RJ Hampton. RJ Hampton, that value is still just seemed to not work out ever. I don't know why he's such a poor fantasy point per minute guy here at this point, but even at 0.75, you'd expect eventually, in the absence of Suggs, that we would get one of these starts to pop off a performance. He's 3,800 there over on FanDuel. I mean, is that something that we can try to make a thing? I mean, the Cole Anthony exposure I have to him on FanDuel is drastically different. I really don't have anything from this entire team on DK period. Even Mo Wagner, I think, is just massively overowned at 22%. What's your Orlando interest here on this slate?
Yeah, so here's the issue with targeting Orlando for me is that, number one, it's a terrible matchup against the Warriors. It's probably the worst spot on the slate. And then we're also sacrificing a lot in terms of flexibility if we're playing guys in the first game of the slate, because you look at the way these games are staggered. We've got only one game tipping off at 7. Then we've got a 30-minute break till we get to Knicks-Hawks. And that's a game where we have Bogdanovich is questionable in a game time decision. Then we go another 30 minutes from there, and we've got Bulls-Bucks, and we've got Zach Levine, who looks like he's going to be a game time decision there. So if I'm going to lock in guys from Orlando, here's the issue is I'm playing guys that, number one, I just don't think are very good options. And then number two, I'm likely giving up the opportunity to swap on to much better guys if players get ruled out on the injury report. So there's nothing I really like from Orlando. If this was just a 4-game slate and nobody was listed on the injury report, then I could say like, okay, maybe I'll get a few lineups with RJ Hampton. I just don't think it's worthwhile as of now.
Completely in lockstep with you there. I'm glad we've it's 8 teams on this slate. It's nice to be able to bounce around and kind of talk about some of these different situations. Wendell Carter, we'll get to it forward. I think on FanDuel, he's definitely a piece that I think at 7,300 I have some interest in, and that's about it. But Cole Anthony as well, 5,700, tiny bit of interest there at the guard spot. Lower owned guards, my friend, anybody that we haven't discussed, any situation that you're just getting to a lot more than the field, or somebody that you think is just going massively overowned on this slate?
I think most of the chalk is, about warranted. I do think Reggie Jackson's going a little bit overowned, 7,200. There's so many good options on this slate. I just don't think that we need to have Reggie Jackson in 27% of lineups. Let's see, most recent run of ownership, he is 26% on FanDuel, and on DK, 27%. That's a little bit rich for my liking. Other guards, though, I think Quickly, Burks, Caruso, Barrett, all that chalk to me, I think is more than warranted. As far as contrarian options go, I have some exposure to Monty Morris. We've talked about Zach Levine. I have some exposure to him. So Monty Morris, in general, his playing time had been trending up. And then what happened? So the last couple of games, number one, we got a game where he just played poorly against Cleveland. And then last game, we had that spot against the Boston Celtics where the Nuggets were getting their asses kicked so bad they didn't even start their starters in the second half of that game. But the games before that, 31 and 34 minutes for Monty Morris. So it's to me somebody who is cheap, and on a slate where it's only 4 games, I have him a little bit more than the fields. And, it's not saying that much because he's projected for 14% ownership on DraftKings and then 8% on FanDuel. So I'm a little bit overweight to both those numbers. There's nobody that I'm getting to like a crazy amount of, though, that's single-digit ownership. How about you?
Yeah, I'm not either. The one guy that I will give a shout out for, simply purely because he's 1.3% owned, and maybe he gets to around 2 or 3 and whatever else. But in 150, I don't think it's the craziest thing to say I want some Bones Highland. I mean, he's been the only guy who has had a pulse for Denver outside of Jokic in the last, I don't even know how long, but he had a really nice string of play here. He's had these random games where he gets his minutes extended to 31, 35 minutes in situations. Now, the hard part is it's really tough to predict when he's going to pop, when he's going to make every shot. But if he does, just knowing that leash can get extended to like 30, 32 minutes when we have him projected for 23 and a half, I think he needs to be a little bit more than 1.3%. Now, I'm not going to get to him in even like 10, 12% of lineups, but I think 8% of my 150 is currently what I have him in. I'm willing to embrace a little bit of that simply because, you could get a really, really low owned tournament play in that late night hammer that could show up and put up 35, 40 real points. He is a fantasy point per minute guy. So again, just looking at it, 30 minutes, 30 fantasy points, 6X. Sometimes on this slate, that's going to be the difference maker on a 4-gamer. So what do you think about him?
Hard for me to really get interested. I think the price is, I think the price is a little bit too high. I think I probably have some of those Bones Highland minutes going towards Monty Morris. And I guess there is upside for his playing time. Just it's been so erratic all over the place last few games. 20 minutes, 35, 24, 31, 19, 22. I tend to think that he's going to play like mid-20s minutes. And I know he had that game against, it was the 76ers game on national TV, where he just got super hot and hit a bunch of threes. So those games do happen where they run him for extra minutes, but he's not somebody that's making it to my player pool today.
Okay. Yeah. For me, it's just that it's knowing that that's something that's capable. It's like a 1 in 10, 1 in 20 outcome type of deal. And it's just simply because he's 1%, 2% owned that I wanted to give him a special shout out. If he was 4 or 5% owned, I think he makes an easy write-off in that kind of a situation, but he's completely off the board for everybody. So I just wanted to throw him out as the one guy that I thought could do it. Anything else you want to discuss here at guard before we jump to forward?
Let's see. Who have we not discussed?
I guess Trae Young might be somebody we should talk about. Kind of the main dude up top there. We do have 3 studs, one at every position. Trae Young is a spend up. Giannis is a spend up. Jokic is a spend up. I think I know where you tend to land when it comes to a lot of those debates. I think today I might be siding a little bit more with Giannis, but how do you view Trae Young on the slate compared to the other studs?
Yeah, so here's where I'm at in relation to the field. I'm close to even with the field on Trae Young. I'm underweight to Giannis. I'm overweight to Jokic. I have Jokic projected slightly higher than Giannis, and there's just a pretty big ownership gap between them. Right now, we have Giannis projected for 41% ownership on DK compared to 25% ownership for Jokic. Then over on FanDuel, Giannis is projected for 73% ownership compared to 40% for Jokic. Clearly, Giannis is a good play on this slate. I just don't think he warrants being in like twice the amount of lineups that Jokic is.
Yeah, I get it. Somebody asked earlier there to me, why Bones when you have Hampton and Loughran more minutes? Because one's 1% owned and one's not 1% owned. Again, it's just simply an ownership play in 150. I'm not saying you should make him a massive stand on your day. I'm simply pointing out one guy that I thought was extremely low owned that could maybe win you a tournament on a 4-game slate if he gets that extra leash where he just gets hot, and kind of reminds me of Terrence Ross back in the day when I would roster him at 1 or 2% owned, because if he gets hot, he gets extra run. If he doesn't, that lineup's dead, and it's just fine by me. Let's jump on over, my friend, to Awesemo Plus tools and content, $29.95 right now for the weekly pass. That's going to give you everything behind the paywall. So not just the NBA goodies that we got going here. I haven't said goodies for a long time. I'm proud of myself for that, Jordan Klein. You're not proud of me. You're like, it's your job. Be better.
It's a life accomplishment for you.
Yeah, it kind of is, because I say that way too much. But Awesemo Plus NBA packages, $4.95 here for the week. So if you want to just check out everything we have behind the paywall outside of Fantasy Cruncher, of course, for NBA packages, $4.95 for the week. But I'm telling you, if you're playing MMA, PGA, NCAA projections going on this weekend, which Makachevsky did a great job with this last weekend, I think you'll really benefit in this Sweet 16 round, playing some DFS, having some exposure there. But $29.95 just for the weekly pass. Come check it out. I promise you, you will like what you see. So stop guessing, start winning, and join us here at Awesemo Plus today. All right, to the forward spot we go. And there's only
super chats, by the way.
I mean, have we had any super chats?
Yeah, we've had a bunch of them.
Oh, well, Jordan Klein, you are not pinging me, are you? Check my... Oh, my God.
Oh, my... Look at this.
There we go. It didn't update on my iPad.
He's still proud of himself for not saying the word goodies.
I didn't have the iPad. John Cooper, is Jericho Sims a good GPP play? Sorry for bad timing. Not bad timing ever. How do you feel about Jericho Sims today, Greg Ehrenberg?
So for Jericho Sims, I think that you could make a case for him as a flyer in deep field, in large field GPPs. Certainly not a cash consideration. Playing a single entry lineup, I also would not consider Sims. But the reality is there's a lot of players out for the Knicks, and you're trying to allocate where the front court minutes are going to go to. And there's Taj Gibson, there's Jericho Sims, there's Obi Toppin, there's Mitchell Robinson. That's kind of it for this team. And the other thing to consider too, Mitchell Robinson fairly frequently gets into foul trouble. So there's a path to Sims playing extended minutes. He's somebody who, when we start talking about the forward position and just deep field flyers or low owned options to look at, he's somebody I think makes some sense, projected for 0.2% ownership over on FanDuel, and on DK right now we have him projected for 7% ownership. I think he's a flyer.
Okay. Right. The Bones Highland of the center position, if you will, right? And
no, because it would be like if Bones Highland was 3,100.
That's there. And then he'd be 84,000% owned. So a little bit different. But let's talk about Obi Toppin here in that same situation here. Assuming he starts, which is, the assumption we have.
Are we answering the rest of the super chats or no?
Oh my God. Yes, we'll go back to them here. I'm sorry. I just
don't want them to
That's a great point. Gabriel Mifrin, Pat C. Barrett, or DeMar Caruso and FanDuel. That can't be Pat Connaughton. There we go. Pat C. and Barrett, or DeMar and Caruso on FanDuel.
So, I mean, I really like Barrett a lot on this slate. I don't really like Pat Connaughton. And then also, if Zach Levine gets ruled out, DeRozan and Caruso both really benefit a lot. So there's a correlation there. So I'm going to go towards the DeRozan and Caruso side. Is Pat Connaughton somebody who's making into your lineups?
On FanDuel, I thought about it, and then I just didn't. I thought about him because, again, I was looking for anything else I could out of the Milwaukee side to really mine out. He's 1.8% owned, and he had some upside and some extra run there. It's just such a muddy situation when they can bring in a number of these guys and play some random minutes. I mean, we saw 28 minutes out of Javon Carter against Minnesota. Sure, it was a blowout there at the end of it, but Javon Carter starting to play some minutes. You get Brook Lopez back in this situation here. Yeah, Chris Middleton's out, but there's just so many guys that can play a couple minutes here and there, and it just mucks it all up for me. Hard for me to have any faith in going to Connaughton at 4,500, but I'm okay if you want to get to him in a couple lineups out of 150. It just wouldn't be like a 2v2 question. I would want him to be up anywhere near that if I'm just like hand building out one specific lineup. So definitely would be the second one for me as well.
Well, yeah, we're on the same page. And then even right now, as things stand, I go towards the second option. And then it's just easily option number 2 if Levine doesn't play.
All right, you guys are the best. So you say super chat, and then all of a sudden, super chat. You know what I mean? Super chat. Shane Daly, $2. Thanks for the contents, fellas. That's all. You are appreciated. We are happy to bring it to you every single day.
Yeah, for sure. And Shane's somebody who's pretty regularly in the chat, so
always
we appreciate you.
We really appreciate you. Oh, Brook Lopez will start ahead of Bobby Portis. That'll be a fun talking point. Oh, God. All right. Sean Raza, is Javon Carter a sneaky play? I just brought up his name, and there we go. Javon Carter gets brought up. I don't think I can do it on this slate, even though it's a 4-gamer. He's 3,700 on FanDuel. That's, again, the one spot I thought about playing him. What do you think about Javon Carter as a deep flyer?
I don't think you added enough deeps into there. So
there's a couple of issues.
Yeah, maybe even a couple more. So there's 2 issues with Javon Carter, and they're both pretty significant ones. Number 1, I don't think he's going to play a lot of minutes. That's an issue. Number 2, he's not a good fantasy producer. So those 2 things added together are a little bit problematic. I think what people might be looking at is that he played 28 minutes last game, and there's no Chris Middleton. Keep in mind, that last game was not competitive against the Minnesota Timberwolves, and a lot of his run came in garbage time. So he played 28 minutes, but look at the minutes that the starters played in that game. We got 25 minutes from Portis, 21 from Grayson Allen. Brook Lopez played 20. We had 23 from Drew Holiday. We had 25 from Chris Middleton, and Giannis didn't play that game. So I think it's more likely than not that we see under 20 minutes from Carter than over. And then you also have to consider for the season, he is playing 13 minutes per game and scoring 9 fantasy points. So at those kind of rates, if you gave him 26 minutes, you're still getting under 20 fantasy points. And I don't think we're getting 26 minutes.
All righty. We've got so many more. Great answer, by the way. Great $1.99. Rank New York guards on FanDuel. Burks, RJ, Evan, IQ. Those are the 4 we need ranked, Greg. How do you rank out the guards for FanDuel? Go.
All right, so let me pull up the exposures for the build I have, and it is Barrett 1. There's pretty clear tiers here to me. Barrett 1, then Burks 2, and then Quickly 3. And I think Quickly is worth being underweight to the field too on FanDuel. So Evan. Evan Fournier. Okay, yeah. So I missed that Fournier was in the group. So it's Barrett 1, Burks 2, Fournier 3, then Quickly 4. Quickly my favorite one to be underweight to the field too today.
Agreed. Quickly, I just think is more volatile than the field is saying he is. So there's that. Uzi, always great to see Uzi hanging out. $5 super chat. DeRozan or Jordan Poole FanDuel, 3K single entry. And then Cole Anthony or Bones Highland for FanDuel. So DeRozan or Jordan Poole FanDuel, and then Cole Anthony or Bones Highland FanDuel.
Yeah, DeRozan and Cole Anthony.
Yeah, DeRozan and Cole Anthony as well. Again, Bones Highland, he's 5,800 on FanDuel. He's not even remotely in play for me there. It is at DraftKings, the deepest of flyers. I feel bad that I even brought him up. I could have just played him in 8% of my lineups and gone on living, but I wanted to just throw his name out as somebody to get to a tiny bit. Arcatel's $1.99.
Sorry, one more thing, Dad, really quick. Remember when we were like a month ago and people were saying, why are people not having DeRozan number 1 for MVP? DeRozan should win MVP. Now we're at a point where people are asking whether DeMar DeRozan or Jordan Poole is a better fantasy option. Well, we're not that far removed from people saying DeRozan should be MVP.
Times have changed. Zach Levine returned to the rotation as well. That'll do it from a fantasy perspective. But for the most part, times change. Glad you got that Boston ticket, my friend. Arcatel's at $1.99. Grimes or Pat C and DK single entry GPP. Oh boy. That's like asking me. I don't even want to go there. Go ahead and answer the question, Craig.
All right. So Grimes or Pat Connaughton. That is Pat Connaughton. Here's the issue though. I have Connaughton projected for more fantasy points. I also think he's going over-owned by a good amount on this slate. And then Quentin Grimes, just not enough fantasy point projection for me to consider him. So the answer is Pat Connaughton. I don't think he's the worst play in the world at 3,700. I do think he's a little bit too popular, though.
Look at this. Nickelback for life, which if in the DFS streets is a name that people know. Caleb, $5 super chat. Shipped 100K Sunday night. Thanks for doing what you do. Love Nickelback for life. I definitely did the deeper dive. I'm throwing it out there for that. It was Eytan and I on that show, but saw that you banked that 100K. Congratulations. You've done that a lot, though. So this is not too surprising to anybody here. Congratulations, Caleb.
Yeah, it makes up for the terrible music he has to listen to.
Yeah. Look at this photograph. Every time I do, make me laugh.
You know what's funny is I'll usually make fun of you for singing, but that's better than the original.
How did our eyes get so red? And then da-da-da-da-da. It's beautiful. Beautiful art, if you will. Let's go to forward now. Let's just start with this news. Bobby Portis is no longer starting. It is now Brook Lopez. I'm really uncomfortable rostering. I mean, definitely not Brook Lopez, but my Bobby Portis exposure, I was feeling pretty good. I thought it looked pretty good. It does not look very good anymore, Greg. Should I be hitting completely abandon on that?
I mean, we talked about the Bucks before, and I said I thought there was a pretty good chance this happened. So this isn't really going to change anything for me. I think Bobby Portis is still has upside in tournaments with Chris Middleton now. Now, with that said, I'm curious to see where his ownership ends up coming. I think people probably were, for the most part, anticipating this, considering that he's projected for 13% ownership on DraftKings, although 38% on FanDuel. That's a lot with him coming off the bench. The DK ownership seems about appropriate. I think Brook Lopez, though, is worth getting exposure to as a flyer in larger field tournaments. He started last game. He played 20 minutes, but I think we're going to start to see the minutes get ramped up for him. And then also keep in mind that last game was a blowout situation. So last game, Bobby Portis ended up starting I'm pretty sure he started alongside Lopez last game, correct?
Correct. They started together. And again, it's not considerable because I was going back to 2021 where they played a lot of NBA finals where they played some minutes adjacent each other. So it's a thing that can happen. It just doesn't happen as much as you would like.
Yeah, and I mean, the other thing too is that Giannis was out last game. Now he's back. It's hard for me to project Bobby Portis to play more than like 26 minutes.
Yep, it's brutal. It's not good. I will say if the ownership goes plummeting, that'd be one thing, but you should pretty much get to like 0 of him now. That's probably the approach that I am taking here. It's sad times. I was looking forward to it. We talked Obi Toppin here at the forward spot. Now let's talk about Giannis here in relation to these other studs. My friend Trae Young, we talked about. Jokic, we will talk about, but I want to bring him up now because he's your boy. Giannis or Jokic on this slate for you?
Yeah, so I mean, I have them projected fairly similarly. And the difference is, though, for me with them is Giannis is just so much more popular today. So I think both of them warrant consideration. If you're playing cash games, you kind of have to go with Giannis just because that's where the ownership is. But we have him projected, just to reiterate what I said before, on DK, Giannis is projected for 38% ownership, and we've Jokic projected for 24%. And now on FanDuel, we have Giannis at 70% and Jokic at 40%. So it's not necessarily the case of just like, oh, I think that Jokic is way better looking from a projection standpoint than Giannis. Because while I have Jokic projected higher, it's a minuscule amount. And the only reason Giannis is even close to him for me is because we have Chris Middleton out. But there's a big ownership gap there. And I understand a lot of that has to do with positionality. But if I'm choosing between the two, just based on the gap in ownership in tournaments, I'm going towards Jokic.
Perfect. Oh, my dog. He's just having a great day. Duke, what's up? Shout out to the Live Before Lock people, that's for sure. Moving our way down. I think you're right. Jokic is a guy that I think you want to try to get to a little bit more of, even at 12-4 on DK, because you are getting that ownership discount. FanDuel, it's really hard for me to get away from playing a ton of Giannis. I think you're seeing that ownership massive, mainly because he's a lot cheaper comparatively to DK, and positionally, it just works out. Plus, I like Mitchell Robinson a lot. We'll get to that. Rest of the forward position, my friend. Let's go to some other pieces from around the entire industry here today. Danilo Gallinari, in this entire Atlanta situation, we got Trae Young in. We'll get to the Zach Levine stuff he is in here for today. We'll talk Patrick Williams. I don't really think he's fantasy viable, but maybe it messes up what we're doing with some of those studs. Are you getting to anything from Atlanta in terms of that front court that has provided some type of value here with Kevin Huerter and such, but mainly been in the absence of Trae Young? Are you still getting to anybody else there?
Yeah, so there was potential for a lot of value to open up here, but we just got news that Bogdanovich is going to play today, and that kind of neuters a lot of these guys. Like, there was a chance to look at Kevin Huerter, DeAndre Hunter, Danilo Gallinari, all those guys more favorably. But with Bogdanovich playing, then you're just looking at, Hunter, Huerter, Bogdanovich, Gallo. It's just a lot of guys. I don't doubt that one of them could go off, but I can't really prioritize any of them with all of them in now. We still do have John Collins out, but he's been out for a while now, and the pricing is kind of already incorporating that.
I have to play Danilo Gallinari. He's 4,800 over on FanDuel, and he just makes a really, really good play there. Identical tag to Evan Fournier as well. I think both of those guys at 4,800 are guys that I'm just prioritizing a little bit, especially in some single entry stuff where I'm trying to play Jokic as opposed to Giannis and trying to get a little bit different in some of those places. And I'm just getting to a lot of Fournier. That 4,800 number just seems to be something that keeps coming up over there. I think on DK, you're right. It's less necessary to land on any of these guys now, for sure. Prices are quite different. Danilo Gallinari up to 5,100. I wanted to try to get to some Bogdanovich, but I think the ownership will still be there. Seems like a guy people just get to above what I'm going to project him out for. So not somebody I really land on here either. Let's go to Nicholas Batum as a piece of value here. Some of these other cheapies, there's not really a pivot that I have off of Obi Toppin. 3,200 just does a lot for your lineups on DraftKings.com. But is there somebody sub 5K that you're landing on DraftKings at the forward spot in order to pay up for more Jokic and more Trae Young?
Yeah, so I actually think this is where we could really try to differentiate some of our exposure, because we've got guys like Aaron Gordon, Nick Batum, Chuma Okeke, Kuminga. There's a bunch of guys that are fairly cheap on DraftKings that I think have reasonable upsides that the field isn't getting to. Play Obi Toppin. Don't pivot off of Obi Toppin. Just play him. He's in all my lineups today. But there are lower owned guys that I think we can mix in that will also differentiate the lineup a little bit. And this is the spot for me that I'm differentiating a little bit. We talked about low on guards to get to, and I just didn't have any answers because I don't think there's any of them that look all that great. Forward is where it does make sense though.
So kind of rotate through some of these guys. I mean, you said Chuma Okeke is a guy that you have some interest in. Is there somebody for the people? I mean, Quentin Grimes is a guy that's gotten brought up a lot, even though, oh boy, that's maybe the most uncomfortable thing that I've ever heard. Let's see. Did we also Andrew Wiggins was always going to start. I don't know why that's any news. Poole, Thompson, Wiggins, Green, Looney. Whoop-de-doo, Basil. What does it all mean? Who are your favorite targets then that are just going underowned?
Just the ones I just mentioned.
Just Okeke was the one that I heard, and
Gordon, Batum, Okeke, Kuminga all make sense. If you're looking for a really deep flyer, then it's going to be Jericho Sims, who somebody had asked the super chat about him before. He's projected for single digit ownership. He also is close to min salary today. And if we see a situation where, say, like Mitchell Robinson gets into foul trouble or Obi Toppin struggles, Jericho Sims is going to come off the bench. He's just going to have to play more minutes because of how thin the Knicks are. So that to me is not a comfortable play. But if you're playing in the largest of big field tournaments, I think he's somebody to get to.
All right. And something you guys all need to get to, the like button, smash it. Over 750 likes right now. That's great. 1,000 is better. 1,000 would look amazing. I think we're capable of that. We have 3,000 people watching live here for this Tuesday 4-gamer. That's awesome. We're going to be trying to give you all the info we can here in the next 20 minutes before lock, and then not going anywhere to talk some jock market here for half an hour here. Anything else for you, Greg? I guess Wendell Carter, somebody that I'm getting to a lot on FanDuel, DraftKings at 8,400. Probably going to pass here in that direction. That's one guy we haven't discussed. I think that it's just kind of an easier play for FanDuel, but anything else that we haven't discussed at the forward position you have a burning desire to before we head to center?
Yeah. So now that he's officially been ruled in, I think that we should circle back and talk about Zach Levine, because I'm not sure that the ownership is going to reflect the kind of upside he has. I know he's not a forward. He's only shooting guard eligible, but it's not something we've really talked about yet. And I'm going to refresh, see if we have an ownership update with him in now, which it looks like we do. And Levine is projected for still just 15% ownership on DraftKings. On FanDuel, he is at also 15%. That's a really low price tag for Zach Levine, 75 and 7,400. He's somebody else who's going over on that we should have in our lineups.
Yeah, 7,400 on FanDuel is just awesome. Going to be a big Bulls fan over there today, that's for sure. DeRozan, Caruso, Vooch, Levine. I am over the field on every single one of those guys. So that's going to be a team to pay attention to. We'll talk about Vooch and Mitchell Robinson and some of these other guys, and of course, Nikola Jokic. But first, we're going to talk Jock Market. They are the sponsor here of the Live Before Lock show. And don't worry, I'll get to all your super chats. You guys did a great job of adding to that. We really appreciate you. But Jock Market is fantasy sports turned into the stock exchange. You get to play every single second of every single game that's going live. It is so fun to be able to play this app. I know Greg, myself, we're going to be doing it for half an hour. We do it on our off days too. We've gone back and forth talking about players to buy and sell live in our private chat, where we're able to go back and forth and talk DFS all day. And plus, we've got Terry McBride in the chat. I know he's been playing a lot over there. You'll see why it's so fun just by signing up, using promo code Awesemo, depositing $100 and getting $100 back right away. 100% deposit match code. That's promo code Awesemo. Plus, there's a first market guarantee on Jock Market where you get all of your losses up to $100 completely refunded. So if somebody has an injury, if somebody gets in early foul trouble and they completely bust and they go down to $1 per share, you will get refunded up to $100 of your losses on that first market today, starting today instantly. They have NBA, they'll have MLB coming up here. They have NHL going, PGA as well. So much fun to be playing at Jock Market. Plus, free Jock Market IPO projections on the Awesemo page. Simply go to the NBA tab on Awesemo.com, head down to projections, and at the very bottom there, you will see Jock Market NBA DFS IPO pricing. Check it out, completely free to use. Still won't be for long. So we want you to take advantage of that while it still lasts, while those projections will still be free to you. Thank you so much to Jock Market for their sponsorship of the Live Before Lock show, but especially thank you for making a great product that is really fun and really different from what everybody else is offering across the entire industry. All righty. We've got My Filler Arc, $9.99, a little bit early, never too early for a super chat of $10. We appreciate you. But Mitch from New York, so Mitchell Robinson, Vooch versus Capella Hartenstein. I mean, it is Mitch and Vooch by a landslide for me.
Yeah, those are pretty clearly the options for me. And the other thing to consider too is with the Capella and Hartenstein side, the minutes have just not really been there consistently for Capella, even with John Collins out. Mitchell Robinson is benefiting from the absence of Julius Randle as long as he can avoid foul trouble. I don't like Vooch quite as much as I thought we potentially could have with Zach Levine in, but still, I prefer him to Clint Capella. I prefer Robinson to Hartenstein.
Yep. Pretty simple one for me. Greatness 410. Can we play 4 Knicks in the same lineup on FanDuel? I've been asked this question a lot today, Greg, from different places. How many Knicks are too many Knicks for you?
Yeah, I think 4 is reasonable on FanDuel. Obviously, that's the most we're allowed to play. And looking through the lineups I've built, I don't have that many with 4 Knicks players. There's only a few of them, but it's still viable for this slate more than most slates because there's only 4 games and the Knicks are the best source of value tonight. So with that in mind, you could go ahead. You could play 4 Knicks on FanDuel or DraftKings.
I think it's going to be very rare cases where I'd get to 4. I didn't make the restriction to stop it from going to 4 over there. But I'm mostly getting all 3s. It'll be mostly 2 and 3, but there's just not a chance that I'm going to get to that many of 4. But I think you can do it. It's just not something I'm going to consciously try to do at all because I think it's probably a little bit too many for me. But I'm also not making a rule against it. Gray, $1.99. Thoughts on Barton and Aaron Gordon on FanDuel? GJ, guys, I think that's good job, correct? Am I one of the new age kids seeing GJ and knowing that it's good job?
No, it's a sexual thing. But what the question was, because I can't. Here we go. Thoughts on Barton and Aaron Gordon. I like Aaron Gordon for today's slate mostly just because of how thin the forward spot is. Will Barton is not someone I'm getting to though, but Gordon I think is going a little bit under-owned.
And then I did see earlier Uzi, or I think it was Uzi that asked it again. I don't have it in front of me here. Let me scroll back and try to find it here. I think it was Morris and Quickly heads up on FanDuel, I believe was the question.
That is,
I mean,
that? if we're considering ownership, the answer is Morris. But if it's just who scores more fantasy points, to go with Quickly.
It was Cole Anthony or Morris from Uzi.
Oh, okay.
Cole Anthony or Morris.
Cole Anthony.
Okay. Cole Anthony's 5,700 on FanDuel. I think he's an intriguing little play to get to over there. Well, also intriguing are some of these centers, but specifically Nikola Jokic, your boy. How much of him are you getting across the industry today?
Let's see. So Jokic right now I have in 40% of my lineups.
That was easy enough. Thank you for your short explanation as I was trying to,
Okay. I could talk more about it.
Jordan's like, what? No. So what happened? My iCloud is full. And so every time I keep getting these things, I have to delete something in order to get Jordan Klein's thing in, but I just upgraded it. So now I'm getting the super chats to come in. They weren't coming in before. What, Jordan Klein? What do you want from me? What do you want from me?
Just make sure you have good protection or else you end up with your pictures on one of those sites.
I have 2 terabytes of data now of as many nasty pictures of myself as I want.
There we go. That's how Eric starts every day. As he goes, he takes a shower, he takes some pictures, he sends them to us in the group chat. We tell him to stop and he won't stop. This is
not true, HR, that we don't have. This is not true. Go ahead.
Go ahead with what?
Nikola Jokic, you were going to explain something so I could do something.
Oh, sure. I didn't even, because I could talk about Jokic again today. But yeah, I do like Nikola Jokic quite a. You've asked me the same question. This is
okay, fine. Then we're going to keep moving. I don't care, Greg. I don't care. It's fine. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So
I didn't mean that, baby. Sometimes I just get so scared of being a nobody. Nikola Vucevic. So, how about the other guy?
Nikola Jokic on today's slate. I like Giannis a lot too, but Giannis is just so much more popular than Jokic that with all things, for me at least, being about equal with them, unless you individually have Giannis for a way higher projection than Jokic, which I don't think that's really warranted. I don't think that Jokic should be 40% owned when Giannis is over 70% on FanDuel. And then on DK also over 40% ownership for Giannis compared to 24% for Jokic. It's just a really big ownership gap.
Well, he's not even the highest owned center over on FanDuel or DraftKings because Vucevic, the other Nikola on this slate, Nikola, however you want to say it, he's coming in more popular. Well, not anymore. 41% over on the FanDuel.com for Jokic compared to 31.6%. But on DraftKings, Vucevic is getting more attention there, 25.9%. How much of him are you getting to on this slate, especially knowing now that Zach Levine is in?
Yeah, so I thought when we were talking about Levine before and the possible merits to getting to him with the questionable tag, one of the reasons I like getting to him was just the ability to, even if he wasn't playing, to make some lineups where I was getting to more of DeRozan, getting to more of Vooch. So to me, Vooch now, while particularly on FanDuel, he's in play just because he's so inexpensive. We got Vooch at only 6,900. I think that he's still somebody worth getting to at that price point, but I don't want him in a third of my lineups like the field has.
Love it. Yeah, I think I've got to be a little bit under now too. It's just kind of the default. I like Vooch. I think he's a fantastic option, but so does the field, and he's very, very popular. So let's try to find some paths where we're not playing Jokic, not playing him in lineups. And I think the clear-cut guy for me is Mitchell Robinson at 5,400. I kind of assumed he was going to be way higher owned absent Julius Randle, and it just doesn't seem to be the case on DraftKings. 14.7% for him. Over on FanDuel especially, I mean, I don't expect him to, he has competed against Jokic and Vooch in terms of raw fantasy points in the past, but he's 6,100 there. He's sub 5%. I think that that's just like an automatic click. You get to like 15% and you're set. But on DraftKings specifically, are you going to be as heavy on Mitchell Robinson as I am?
Yeah, I love Mitchell Robinson today. And like you said, it's a little curious to me that he isn't more popular. And I think there's a chance maybe he will be, because I'm projecting him out really well. The only real risk here is he going to get into foul trouble, which we see happen fairly regularly with Mitchell Robinson, but without Nerlens Noel and without Julius Randle in the picture, and also just the stakes that are at play for the Knicks in this game. Are they really going to run big minutes for Taj Gibson? Are they really going to run big minutes for Jericho Sims? To me, Jericho Sims, I think, like we were talking about before, he's an okay GPP flyer, is like a break in case for emergency guy the Knicks have to go to. But the intention to me has to be to play Mitchell Robinson as many minutes as he could play until he gets into foul trouble, because this is a game that the Knicks against the Hawks absolutely need to win to get into the play-in game. I'm going to be overweight to Mitchell Robinson.
Man, I've found some common ground here today. That's nice to kind of round this out. I'm glad that we could do that. Any other centers of note that you were getting to here on this slate on FanDuel? I'm pretty tight to those three guys. It's pretty much going to be a lot of Jokic, a little bit of Vooch, and then, smattering of Mitchell Robinson. On DK, I'm getting to tons of Mitchell Robinson, getting to a little bit less in terms of how much I have of Robinson to Jokic to Vooch. But then anybody else of note that you're getting to on this slate?
Let's see. So at the center position, the priorities for are Mitchell Robinson and Nikola Jokic. We talked about Jericho Sims, bring him up again. He's center eligible on both FanDuel and DraftKings. I think there's some merit to Looney, but also just kind of as a lower owned option. Because remember in the past when Looney just scored the same exact amount of fantasy points every single game? And I think you were the first person that pointed this out to me, that there was a point where you just said that like you would never play Looney because there's just never a time where it wins people tournaments. That's not really been the case this year. He's been a much higher variance player. Here's the evidence. Look at his last 3 games, 9 fantasy points, 31-20. We've seen some really big slate breaking games from Looney on some of these smaller slates. So he's somebody who's worth a small amount of exposure to as well. But the priorities are Robinson and Jokic.
Well, last year you had James Wiseman too, which kind of capped it. It just became a thing where they were much more willing to let Wiseman go. And this year has been completely different. I don't think I've had that take this year, but last year that was definitely something that I had where, like, why do you want to play Kevon Looney at chalk when you know exactly how many fantasy points you're getting out of him, and it's generally not going to be enough to win a tournament? Completely different tune here today. Being able to play him at power forward, I believe, over on FanDuel. Let me double check. I think you're able to play him over at power forward, and that gives him a little bit more utility for me. But even on DK, Yeah, I don't think Draymond Green's really going to cut into his rates that much in terms of what Kevon Looney does. Draymond Green does create for other guys. That's kind of his MO. Sure, Steph Curry not on the floor doesn't help anybody in terms of spacing, but it sure helps them in terms of fantasy opportunity that's going to exist. Jordan Klein just hit me up with a bunch of super chats here. See, that's what happens when you upgrade. Get all the data you can here. Shane Daly playing 10 lineups, have 40% man. That would be the Terrence variety. How crazy am I? How crazy is Shane Daly today, Greg?
Pretty crazy. So Terrence Mann, let me see if I even have, did he say it's on DraftKings or FanDuel?
That would be on, he didn't say. Either is crazy to me.
Yeah. So is this just we're expecting every man to have a crazy outlier game with a price in the mid 5K range? Because that's what happened with Trey Man last night, totally ruined the slate by scoring, what was it, like 45 fantasy points at low ownership and at the same price tag. But no, I do not have Terrence Mann projected all that well in this slate. He's really expensive too, relative to expectations.
Yes, he is. It's just not a guy that I'm going to land on like at all today, but have fun. You know what? Crazier things have happened in the DFS streets. We've got Tyler Hale. How many Knicks players would you put on the same lineup? I have 4, and it just feels like too many. That was a super chat that I think might have been missed, but got sandwiched by Jordan Klein because he's the man.
I have no issue with 4 Knicks in the same lineup. I would feel differently if this was, a 9 or a 10 game slate, but it's 4 games. They're the best source of value. There aren't really that many other places to go. So 4 is perfectly acceptable to me.
All right. Cheyenne DeWald. Great to see Cheyenne as well. All the usuals hanging out here at the bar. We appreciate that. Draymond Green minutes projection ? Favorite non-center, non-top in play that's 4K and under on FanDuel. Thanks, guys. So non-center, non-top in play, 4K under. And what is your Draymond Green minutes projection?
So center play 4K and under. I get by default, that's Jericho Sims, because there just aren't other guys under 4K that I'm getting to with center eligibility. As for Draymond, I have him for 28 minutes.
All right. 28 minutes is mine too, because that's his minutes limit. So I think 28 is the exact number. And if he plays less than that, so be it. But I don't think he's going to play anymore. That's why minutes limits can be so helpful, is that it reduces the range of outcomes where it's like, yep, that's the absolute most he's going to play. And that's the most I can project him for. That helps a lot. And we appreciate when coaches do that, because I don't know if you guys know this, doesn't always happen. And Steve Kerr's also a liar anyway, so it doesn't matter.
As our most you know, what's funny though, is we had a coach yesterday that told the truth, and it still ended up screwing me, because for the longest time, Doc Rivers has been saying to us that we were going to get some sort of planned rest for James Harden and Joel Embiid. So we have the 76ers are playing the Heat, and it's the tail end of a back-to-back. Embiid's listed as questionable. I go, oh, okay. Embiid is not going to play. I'm going to go load up on the Heat in this spot. And then, oh my God, Embiid gets ruled out. Then we find out James Harden's ruled out earlier. I'm full go. I cannot be more excited. I'm like, look at all the value I have here. And the 76ers just went outright, which was incredibly disappointing. But sometimes the coaches tell the truth and it doesn't matter.
I smashed when I woke up that morning, Tyrese Maxey. So on a different site, you're able to play what's called a flex play, where you can get 2 of the 3 and then you can make money off of it. And I saw no way in God's green earth that at least one of Embiid or Harden wasn't going to play. And it was like 16.5 and 17.5 on the player project or the points projections for Tobias Harris and Tyrese Maxey. I coupled them with 22.5 points plus rebounds plus assists, which were the best plays over on OddsShopper. And I just coupled those 3 together and ran it over and over and over again. Well, you get paid 5x if you smash and get all 3 right. Tobias Harris is just the worst. I could not despise somebody more than I despise him right now. The worst.
Yeah, good job bringing up other sponsors on a show sponsored by.
I said a different site. I did not. God, why are you doing this to me today?
I like putting you in an uncomfortable situation. And Anthony DLC left us a super chat. He was asking us, is Jokic defending his MVP or is Embiid taking it? It's so close right now. I would lean towards Jokic. I wouldn't have an issue with people voting for Embiid either. I think if the Nuggets end up in the play-in game, it's going to be hard for Jokic to win on a lot of people's ballots, but toss up. Do you have a lean between those two?
Jokic. if we're going to be talking about being a data first company and we don't take Jokic, we would be slandering.
But he's not asking us who we would pick. He's asking who will win.
Who will win? Oh, that's a much different question. Yeah. I think voter.
Sorry, one sec. One other super chat to answer.
Yep,
then we can talk
I just saw it. Yeah. Forward slot 3,700 left to spend. So spend any options. Forward slot 3,700 left. I'm assuming that's DK. We'll just go with DK for the heck of it.
Yeah. It's definitely a DK question. Because or else I guess it wouldn't really make all that much sense. I mean, Toppin's the clear answer. Reasonable to assume he already has Toppin in his lineup though. So. Because everybody's playing Toppin today. So if not Toppin, then the answer is actually Connaughton for me.
Oh, hang on. My life's just failed to upload. What happened?
All right, I'll talk.
We're at that point, buddy. Right. 194
I'll talk
lineups.
You go figure your stuff out. You've got like 45 seconds to get it done. We've got some questions in our premium Discord channel as we all pray for Eric.
Why is this happening? No. I overlapped it with my golf entries. What is wrong with me? I didn't even look at the contest.
Yeah. All right. Super chats. First from Joe K. Levine versus Drew. DKGPP. I prefer Levine for this slate, although I think we just got an ownership update that has Levine being a lot more popular. But still, I lean towards Levine. Dalton Henley Jr. FanDuel single entry, Giannis or Jokic. That is Jokic for me, just based on the ownership gap. And to reiterate a point that I have said a few times over the course of the show, and I'll refresh ownership to see if this has changed at all. Should we do a fresh ownership update? We have right now Giannis projected for 68% ownership on FanDuel, Jokic projected for 39%. Giannis is a good play. Jokic is a good play. I just don't think Giannis warrants almost 2x the ownership of Nikola Jokic. Let's see. Where else are we at?
Oh, I'm done. We're at lock.
No, I'm super chats. I meant.
Oh, you crushed it. Yeah, we got those last ones in the last second. Dalton Henley, you got that. Joe K, Levine, Drew. You guys fired those in last second. Really by the skin of your teeth. Just got it.
My Benjamins, Levine over Poole. I prefer Levine. And then we got a question here from 024631. Groups for the New York Guards and Atlanta Wings on FanDuel. I didn't make any groups for 4-game slate. You just cut off too many possibilities. So that's not something I felt was necessary to do today. And there we go. I think we're all caught up. Did you get your lineups up in time?
I did, which is sometimes a bad thing because, Shane Daly just said, ship my money, won big, Eric, when that happened. I also played 100% of Joel Embiid on a day he went for 70 something and won a lot of money. So it can work both ways. It can be a blessing and a curse. The goal is to not do it too much because I'm just guessing. Might cut down on the old expected value in the long run. But you know what doesn't cut down in the expected value? Hanging out for a half hour, watching this lovely Jock Market show we have in store because it's going to make you money here. Jock Market, Awesemo. Use promo code Awesemo. Get that free 100% first match deposit bonus plus first market guarantee today. If you decide to come play with Greg and myself here as we start talking through some Jock Market, playing on their lovely site, great interface, easy site to navigate. I mean, 2 seconds. I mean, this just looks really, really good to jump in and to be playing on. Give yourself the opportunity to sign in, use promo code Awesemo, win money. I'm logging in here. As I pull up the market here, Greg, anything stick out to you? We got Obi Toppin starting. That seems like an important thing that I'm looking at here now because getting notifications on my phone. Obi Toppin starting. Full go on Obi Toppin, still correct?
Yeah, he's in all my lineups today. Yeah, we're riding the Obi chalk and differentiating elsewhere.
That is a great idea. I think there's really no way around it. That's going to be what I do as well. I'm just logging in. Here we go. That's not the correct password. This is not good. I'm going to go.
Eric is in shambles today.
I'm okay. No,
are you playing both golf slates this week?
Yes. I'm playing both. It's going to be so fun. I'm cheering for, of all godforsaken people, Brian Harmon, who I learned is actually not a nice guy today, which I didn't really enjoy that. Yeah. I heard a story about Brian Harmon from a buddy of mine where he basically said, I'm not playing with this kid at the US Open when it was being held at Torrey Pines, just basically blew off this kid that wanted to play with Brian Harmon. I'm like, how many people actually want to play with Brian Harmon? He's not really the most popular name or whatever, but Brian Harmon, be better out there for the kids, be better. But also,
you know what that reminds me of?
What?
the guy who didn't want to do shows with me on this channel because I didn't have a big enough following at the time. But it's okay because now he makes $1 million a year on YouTube.
My goodness, who could you possibly be talking about? Greg Ehrenberg.
Who's to say?
Gregory Ehrenberg.
Who knows?
Get better, Greg. That's the other option. Get better.
We got another. Look at this. We got a super chat here from Carlos Manzo. Eric and Greg, the ambiguously gay duo, aka Live Before Lockouts. Great SNL sketch from back in the day.
One of the best. The ambiguously gay duo. Did I get that one right?
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you. Cool. I'm now in. I logged in. So
there you go.
Yay. Let's go.
So now we can look at some of these players compared to their IPO prices. First thing that stands out to me personally is that, as per usual, we've got, it looks like Jokic and Giannis are both being a little bit undervalued here. We've got the asking price for Jokic at $18.53, the asking price for Giannis $19.99. That's kind of a hard price to get behind. I know that we have Giannis with a fair IPO price of $22.20. But you need him to come in first in order for him to pay off of that salary. So I prefer going to Jokic because you could get first or second from Jokic and return money at that kind of asking price.
How do we keep doing this show? Greg, you do things in mysterious ways, my friend. And yeah, it is what it is.
Which
all thing? Of it, Greg, all of it, literally all of it. The timing.
Oh, they figured it out.
Yeah, they figured it out. And then they want an undercard. This would actually be fun one to watch. He would not want that smoke. I can tell you that. He would not want that smoke. I'm joining in here now as well. You were just like going about doing your job. And I just couldn't focus on anything because this is incredible. The chaos for Eric never ends. Yeah, no, it's Greg putting me in the middle of the fire. Whoosh. It's like Black Widow in Avengers.
Also, right. I like somebody in chat said the dude started with everybody starts with no followers. Nobody starts with a lot of followers. There's no point. There's
the number starts at zero.
Yeah, nobody just comes into the, maybe there's, so I'm sure there's some weird YouTube families or whatever where they have social media accounts for their unborn children, but yet nobody starts with a lot of followers.
I kind of want Jordan to do a poll because I know it'll make him uncomfortable. Are you ready? Does anybody think this person, this completely unknown person that nobody knows who we're talking about, made $1 million on YouTube last year? Can't do it. Okay. What do you want? Okay. Or who would win in a fight? Greg Ehrenberg or this person? It's up to Greg.
The what? Dude, you're the producer. You can do whatever you want.
You can do whatever you want. The power is yours.
Listen, wisely. I'll just say I was trained in the martial arts by street fighting legend Alex Awesemo Baker. And I don't know if you guys know about this guy's accolades, but have you ever seen him lose a fight? You ever seen him lose a fight before?
I have never seen him lose a fight. That is an accurate statement. Never.
There we go. Undefeated on the streets.
Oh my God. Yeah, Greg minus. What would the line be? I would set it higher than minus 150. It's at least Greg minus 220. That's like the early line I have out there. He's also the person people want to bet. You're like the Conor McGregor, where you just get a lot of public action.
I don't know if that's the comp I want either. Like I've never beat up old guys at a bar or anything like that, and all the other stuff he has going on. I do have. So here's my combat experience though. When I was in high school, me and my friends used to drink, get involved in other activities and whatnot. And we would put on boxing fight cards in my parents' basement where we would all stand around. We'd form like a little ring, and then we'd all bet on each other and get really drunk and punch each other in the face. So I have a little bit of combat experience in that way. And there is somebody from my high school who now fights in the UFC, who was there for one of those parties, and somebody threw up in his shoe. while we were there. So who knows? Maybe that was the kind of thing that inspired him to get into mixed martial arts and how he fights in the UFC. But I've got a little bit of combat experience.
Yeah, it's like that's so weird. We both had somebody that we went to high school with. My math project from AP Stats my senior year was with one Ben Wen. Can't get cooler than that. Pretty amazing. Oh, what are you doing? You can't print something off now. I'm on a show.
Listen,
I'm on a live show. What are you doing?
The show's gone off the rails at this point. So now we've got. Can we get Duke? Can we get Duke in here too?
What planet are we on?
Can Duke come in too?
Duke's in here too.
All right, cool.
Hell? Oh, Duke is.
Yeah, there he is. Look, there he is. He heard his name. He jumped on camera.
What is going on? Take my dog.
Look, Eric's whole family's here.
What is going on? I don't go to your job and just walk in. What planet are we on? Oh my God. All right, to Jock Market we go. Jock Market we go. I don't even know. Hit the like button, subscribe button, because that is the one and only time that will ever happen.
Maybe.
What?
Maybe. You know, I was doing.
I need to print documents. Okay. Can we maybe wait until 4:30? Is that okay with you?
No. This is very important. We can't wait 21 minutes. Those need to be printed right now. The coupons, they're not going anywhere. They need to be. They must be printed at this moment. I also, what was I about to say? That totally threw me off. I had something in mind, and then totally got thrown off by that. Look, Eric has a family. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. So I was doing a show. How long ago was this? Probably a few months ago when I was still getting some work done in my house. And there was some electrician who was doing work out on a light switch out in my hallway. And he just walks into my office with like his pants hanging down, his fat ass sticking out. And he just goes into a closet over there and just starts looking for stuff. I'm in the middle of a show. He's like asking me questions. He doesn't know what's going on.
I mean, she just walked in, not a knock, not a listen, not a text, oh man, it's okay. Oh, I love her, but man, that was something. Oh, well, Jock Market, I want to give them the next 20 minutes because this has been something to start off, but also you set the table pretty nicely for some chaos. And I'm here. I love chaos. My father was a drinker.
Heath Ledger, Joker. There we go. There's one that I knew.
It was about damn time, kids. It was about
damn
time.
Go.
So we have the free Jock Market projections. Go to the projections page, Jock Market, NBA DFS IPO. I'm also going to be watching this game that is getting underway, Golden State and Orlando. We want to keep up to date with that. And why? Because you're able to buy and sell players in real time for real money instantly, pending something that could happen news-wise. So we want to always have all the games up to date, making sense of it. Yeah. Super chats. Seinfeld episode when he boos a heckler at her job, then she lost a toe. Worth it. Thanks, Shane Daly. I mean, what planet are we on? Anthony TLC, go make your wife food, Eric.
Get in the kitchen, Eric.
All right. I'm looking at the Jock Market projections here right now.
Sorry, real quick. I sorry to keep doing this, but somebody asked for a center for utility play 3,700 or below. He already has Pat Connaughton and Obi Toppin in his lineups. Jericho Sims would be the next guy up for me.
Jericho Sims, yeah. Jericho Sims, weirdly enough, would be my next guy too. But I don't know how many builds I would have that would have 3 players in that range. Let me see. My guy would actually be Quentin Grimes, but it's the exact same argument where it's a Nick that can randomly show up and be the guy that could play more minutes, and Tibbs just gives them extra time, and there you go. So Quentin Grimes would actually be mine, but I don't have all that much Quentin Grimes, just I have more of him than Jericho Sims. Looking at Jock Market projections here, again, no games have started, so I don't feel so bad. We're okay. Giannis, $22, Jokic, $20. I mean, they're such massive favorites here. They're actually still values at those numbers, which is crazy to say. Trae Young, also a value. Fair IPO price, $15.90. He's at $15.07. I think because of that, I'm more inclined to take shots on Trae Young on Jock Market. I think I'm going to pick up a share here as we're talking, just simply because he has the upside to get to that $25 number. I don't get as much with Giannis or Jokic. Are you with me there? Or are you looking to do something different?
Sorry, but did you see the last super chat?
I'm doing my segment.
I think before you type, let's see your MMA skills to keep people out of your room, bro. I'm not, mom. I'm not doing anything on the computer. Well, here's the deal too. So he's getting people mixed up also because it's me who we're trying to pump up the MMA skills of. But nobody's claiming that Eric is some Taekwondo black belt or anything like that. We're only focusing on my combat skills.
Yeah,
Eric clearly does not run his household. Clearly, Eric does not run his household.
I do not run my household. I just have a willing participant to walk to the printer while I'm live in front of 2,000 people trying to be a professional. But everybody who knows my wife and even Greg on through the interwebs, Jordan Klein in real life out here in LA, they know that I get ran over, and that's just the way that it is. It's fine. It's fine. I do not wear the pants. I strongly recommend. I don't wear pants ever, or if it's fine. We're going to keep going. But Trae Young, I just got 2 shares of him. I'm very happy to have 2 shares of him there at that 1507 number. I'm going to be invested there because I think that makes some sense. Did you ever answer my question? Did you like Trae Young compared to the other 2, or do you still like getting to Jokic and Giannis just because they're clearing away the best fantasy projections?
Yeah, so let me refresh we got a little bit off track there. So I'm going to refresh the pricing to see what's changed. Yeah, a little bit. My preferred guy here is going to be Jokic. Still, if we just look at the projected fair IPO pricing we have over on Awesemo, and there's pretty clear tiers here. We've got Giannis, at least in our projections, for $22.20, Jokic at $20.40, and then Trae Young at $15.90. But if you look at the asking price right now for Trae Young, it's at 1507. So it's not that far off from what we have projected. And then Jokic is a full $2 less than what we have projected. Whereas Giannis, for me, we're just at an asking price for him where it's first place or you lose money with him. And I just don't think he's that likely to outscore Jokic.
Yep. I'm with you. It's just not going to be something that I do with those 2 as much as I would want to, as much as I would probably want to here. I'm refreshing, looking at some of these other spots that we could possibly be going to. DeMar DeRozan, RJ Barrett. I mean, DeRozan's just not going to be as valuable to me as with Levine in at this point in time. What is Levine's asking price at? That is something that is probably undervalued. Way undervalued. 1106 right now. He's right now going 1160. I mean, that makes more sense to go there, I think, than anywhere else.
I wonder what the price on Levine was. 1097 was his IPO price. I thought maybe that'd be like a crazy discount, but no, not really. But yeah, like you said, there is a little bit of value there. We've got him about 50 cents higher as our projected IPO price compared to what he's actually going for. So I think he's worth bidding on.
Why would my wife hit me? What did I do wrong? I didn't walk into the middle of her stream.
No, you didn't even yell at her. You ruined her printing.
I did ruin her printing. Important documents. Documents. Like, what do we need to print so urgently at 4:15?
Divorce papers.
Oh, you are such a dick. You're so bright red. You're such an asshole. So Kevon Looney is somebody that we can maybe get on Jock Market. Help me pay for my alimony. What do you think about Kevon Looney on this slate?
Let's see where are we at on Looney now.
That was the greatest line in the history of Live Before Lock. Congratulations, you win the day.
Sometimes you just come out and you pull out the 6-shooter pretty quickly.
Pulled out just an absolute AR something.
Looney, but this is a really steep asking price for Looney, 660. That's more than I want. Dude,
that's more than I want. What's Mitchell Robinson, our boy, at?
Oh, he's probably gonna be pretty expensive too. Mitch
707.
707.
Actually, not that bad.
No, it's kind of high though.
Yeah, it's kind of high. Not gonna
So
lie.
I mean, here are the what do we have for Robinson? We have a fair IPO price of 680. So it's not that far off, but once again, we have those guys on the high end that are being a little bit underappreciated, like Jokic, like Trae Young, like Zach Levine. I'd rather go to those guys than, you're paying a not too far off price if you're going to play Mitchell Robinson compared to, not really necessarily Zach Levine, but we have guys that are projected around here is, Bogdanovich, Capella. Where's Capella at here? Capella.
770 fair ask price. Capella is going for too much. 859. Yeah. Honestly, it's one of those slates where you just have to absolutely get up to a little bit over like the $10 threshold on some of these plays. Cause I know everybody wants to strike big and strike rich and, get the 25x return on a $1 or $2 play, or trying to make DeAndre Hunter a thing, but he's going for 523. I mean, all of these guys on the bottom end always end up a little too expensive. And as I'm looking at Vooch, looking at DeRozan, looking at these guys, I would much rather get that upside to get to $25 and try to 2x my money on a day like today. I'm okay spending a little bit more to get to them. How about you?
So what,
it's okay. You have been crushed. You crushed the game. I am now dead on the side of the road. I have nowhere to go.
I didn't follow all that. Could you repeat it? Which were the guys in the group?
So I was just looking at Levine. Levine was the guy that I was just oh, and now he's up to 11-11, and I just bought shares of him at 10.06. That feels good. DeRozan is up to 12.56. I mean, a lot of the top end players, like the guys that are projected in the fair IPO price of $8 or more, kind of that threshold, it seems like they're really the guys that are still valued, where we have some value to get, and nobody below it. I haven't seen a single guy yet below the $7 threshold in our pregame IPO projections. That's going to be a guy that I want to invest in today.
Yeah, and we've found that pretty regularly. It's something you and I have both noticed. There's two places to primarily find value on Jock Market. Number one is just the high-end guys seem to be a little bit undervalued relative to our fair IPO price, or it's just guys that are moved into the starting lineup post-lock, or if there's a late scratch, whichever players would benefit in buying shares of them really quickly. I think both you and I are on the same page in saying that a lot of these players like Clint Capella, Mitchell Robinson, more often than not, they're being bid up too high on some of these slates.
Golden State down 8 right now from the early going, 12-4. Orlando timeout here, 6:45 to go here. Just Cole Anthony being the guy that we wanted, the hero that Gotham deserves, if you will. 6 points, 2 rebounds, and an assist. That's good for FanDuel purposes. Didn't play a lot on DK, but that's all right. FanDuel really made some sense there. RJ Hampton, 2-1. That seems like a better start than normal for him. We got 2 and 3. So 2 points, 3 rebounds for Kevon Looney. He just got subbed in. Otto Porter coming on the floor here right now. Once again, Draymond Green in that starting lineup. So now he's the quick insertion there for Kevon Looney. I don't really see a whole lot interesting going on in this game as it stands right now. Cole Anthony, 12.30, that house price is just out of control.
Yeah. And the other thing too, this game just sucks for fantasy right now. A 12-4 game halfway through the first quarter. So there's no real value coming from the Warriors right now. Looney being the best one of them because he's scoring, about a fantasy point per minute in 5 minutes. But then even on the Orlando side, like you said, Cole Anthony's off to a pretty good start. Everybody else on this team kind of sucks right now, though.
I'm okay with it. We were both, I think, a little bit lower. We wanted some flexibility, and I don't even think it necessarily worked out that way because we got all the news we could possibly be waiting for. But I definitely think that being lower to this game was the way to go. Cole Anthony and Wendell Carter, the two pieces on FanDuel, ironically enough, the two highest scorers right now over there. Kevon Looney tied also 5.6, but those are just abysmal starts in 6 minutes. We'll see how it transpires, but really no value, not people that we were really looking at. If Otto Porter comes on the floor and can do something, 6.12, that house price is out of control. I don't know how we land on any of this, but he did just have an and one assisted by Jordan Poole. We covered a lot of the stuff on the top end here. Let's rehash everything we talked about for lineups. I also saw Uzi ask Gallo, Fournier, or Morris Toppin. He's super chatted us 50 million times. Toppin is in every lineup I have today. Damn. So it has to be that side of it. Greg, what do you think about his 2v2 there? Gallo, Fournier, or Morris Toppin?
Unless something's totally egregious alongside Toppin, the answer is going to be Toppin for me. There's just nobody who I look at as being closely comparable to him. So unless you're saying, like Toppin and Chris Middleton, who isn't playing today, the answer is probably going to be Toppin.
Yep. I have 98% on FanDuel. I have 99.5% on DraftKings, and I didn't click the lock button on him. Just throwing it out there that he's a pretty good play today.
There's a super chat here that I think you'd really appreciate.
You just want me to read it? What am I looking at?
I'll read it. Think before you type. Eric is the man. That's the entire super chat.
Then I have Eric is the man. I do agree with that. I thought you were saying think before you type as in that was part of the super chat, but that's his name.
That is his name.
Think before you type. Think before you type is definitely fair. Also, think before you call out other DFS analysts. But that's a lesson we'll talk about after the stream here with Greg. Or you know what? I'm okay with it because not my favorite either. Let's keep it going.
Also, Olrat says he left a super chat that
did he?
That we didn't answer. I don't see it though.
Shane Daly, Anthony TLC, go make your wife food, Eric. Yes, I got told to do that. Let's see. Need to print documents. It's going to live in infamy in my life.
Oh, cool. Well, can you read it to us, Jordan? Oh, actually, Jordan, can you come on the air and read it? I think that would be fun. Read us a super chat.
Okay, fine. I'll refresh it, and it might cover me. Okay, DK single entry, Gordon and Zubac, or Morris Sr. and Burks?
Morris Sr. and Burks.
Morris Sr. and Burks.
Wonderful.
Cool.
Look, I think we should do that every once in a while. Have Jordan come on and read us a question.
From the clouds.
Well, I like that a lot.
From the top rope.
Yeah. We got another super chat here from Orion for FanDuel GPP. He's asking Giannis, Burks, Connaughton, I assume. All right. So Giannis, Burks, and Connaughton, or Trey, Fournier, and Morris. That is Giannis, Burks, and Connaughton for me.
It is for me as well. Even though I love Fournier on FanDuel today, 4,800. Once again, him and Gallo, I am over the field on, and I feel just fine with that. We have 5 minutes to go here. Once again, shout out Jock Market, our sponsor. We love you guys. Again, it's a 4-game slate. We're talking about the one game that's going on live. I think all the value that we really wanted to talk about exists kind of in that upper range of player here today. Let's give them one cheapie. If you had to play one cheapie at his current ask price, Greg, to round out the Jock Market segment, who would you maybe take a deep flyer on here today? And yes, just 2 deeps, not the 4-8 that recorded for Javon Carter earlier.
You glitched like a mofo there.
Did I really?
Oh yeah, you were all over
in my ear. It didn't feel nice, but you're fine. Jordan,
yeah, I got the gist of the question though. You're asking me what deep flyer. So let's see, like where is Jericho Sims if he's even in here? Because I'm not paying $354 a share for Jericho Sims, so that is not going to be the answer.
Everybody wants to know what's on my polo as well. It's little palm trees, and then a froyo, like a little like ice cream thing, and then there's little cans of beer. There's like little 6-packs of beer on this shirt. It's a beautiful Travis Matthews shirt. I like it very much.
By the way, I wish I had an answer for you, Eric, but if you scroll down, the asking prices are egregious for all these terrible players. Like Delon Wright has an asking price of $366. Jeff Green, $369. JaMychal Green, $346. Sometimes the answer is nobody, and I think that's kind of what my answer has to be here, because these options are not good.
Yeah, they're not ideal. I would like to formally request a Jordan emoji in that shirt. Oh, absolutely. Like, absolutely. Scarface to the max. Let's go. I said he looked like 70s porn star. He's ready to rock. I can do it again. I can do Jordan, it again.
Some people pigeonhole Jordan. I think he's only capable of being a co-star in Spider-Man, but he has a lot of talent and capabilities.
All right, Jordan, come back on. Shane Daly, $2. If they super chat it, you must do it. Can Jordan say it puts the lotion on the skin?
It puts the lotion on the skin, or it gets the hose again.
Oh my God. It's creepy. Grow off Franz Wagner. Don't go off Franz Wagner is probably the right way of putting it. I don't want that. Andrew Wiggins at the line here. Franz Wagner 6-1. We can navigate that ship. I think that's just fine. Cole Anthony up to 11.4. Finally, maybe got Cole Anthony right for once. That would be a trip. RJ Hampton 7.7. That's a decent start for him. Sub 4K on FanDuel. We'll see. A lot of game here to go. But 2 minutes left here in this show. Thank you again to Jock Market, promo code Awesemo. $100 first match deposit bonus plus 100% first market guarantee. Anything up to $100 you lose tonight is going to get refunded. Greg, any final words for the people as we start to get ourselves out of here? Anything else from the DFS landscape you want people to pay attention to? Just any final thoughts whatsoever?
I mean, we've got all the injury reports here, right? There's nobody we're waiting on. We got Bogdanovich in. We got Toppin starting. We got Zach Levine in. Not really. I think we're kind of all caught up on everything. Just do us a favor, guys. Like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Other than that, it looks like we've got everything covered.
I don't know what else you could possibly want in a half hour after show. I think everything that could possibly happen, everything. If you were to write a sitcom script, that was basically the last 30 minutes of our lives. It was bonkers. I appreciate all, over 1,000 of you guys hanging out with us the entire way. Smash that like button, subscribe button. As Greg said here, Jordan was in Spider-Man. He absolutely was. I don't know how you could think that you weren't. I mean, you're just being modest now at this point, Jordan.
Yeah, I've seen the movie. You were there, Jordan.
Oh, it's not very nice.
Nah,
I guess I did it earlier.
Those are inappropriate gestures that you're making towards us, Jordan.
It's not very nice. It's not very nice. But also, we learned a lot today about Greg Ehrenberg, his gripes with people, certain people. I would love to see that fight. I hope it can happen. We got to get that on an undercard coming up very, very soon. But guys, that was the Live Before Lock show plus the Jock Market half hour. Really enjoyed hanging out with all of you guys. Appreciate you all. Best of luck with your lineups. He's Greg Ehrenberg. He's going to go train. I'm Eric Lindquist. I mean, I am just going to go to the kitchen. I got to go make some food for my wife. Oh, man.